and 4 points in the third quarter when John Hufnagel hit Perry Tuttle, and the Bombers were on their way to snapping the Eskimos' 7-game winning streak, 42-20. Prompting a debate among Edmonton fans as to who should be playing quarterback. Starter Matt Dunnigan has found the end zone 24 times. But second-year man Damon Allen has his supporters too. Number 9 has shown flashes of brilliance in relief. As for the Eskimos head coach, he just wants them both ready to play.
Well, you know, when we started the season, we felt to be a championship team that we had to have at least 2 quarterbacks ready to play at all times, and it's pretty well worked out that way because, you know, you can hardly play with one quarterback. They're going to get hurt on you. So we like to try to get both of our quarterbacks in the game, and we don't really pre-plan it. We go out and it depends on what's going on in the game and what we're looking at on the sideline, what our quarterbacks are thinking. So we think both Matt and Damon are starters, and that's the way we look at them, and we certainly intend on playing both of them.
With 2 good quarterbacks, the Eskimos sport the best record in the league and are just a win away from clinching first place in the West for the first time since 1982. And that could happen today as the Edmonton Eskimos pay a call on the Ottawa Rough Riders. Live from Lansdowne Park in the nation's capital, the CFL on CTV. These 2 teams have met once before this season, July 17th at Commonwealth Stadium. And Ottawa's offense had its biggest day of the 1986 season so far. Tom Burgess, number 16, scrambles out of trouble and finds Mark Barouche for a 68-yard touchdown. The Riders on their way to scoring 39 points. But it is not enough to beat the explosive Eskimos. Dunnigan and Milson Jones combine on a 24-yard major. Edmonton wins by 10. Giving up more points than any other team in the CFL, the Riders made a coaching change in mid-season. Now at the helm is Tom Dimitrov. And the Riders will have their hands full today with the high-scoring Edmonton Eskimos. The weather will likely be a factor today. It is overcast, winds gusting out of the west up to 50 kilometers per hour. Showers are on their way. Even as we speak, we have a light drizzle here in Ottawa. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the CFL on CTV. These Edmonton Eskimos bring some glittering statistics into this ball game. Their offense averages over 30 points per game. Their defense used to give up fewer than 20, at least until that debacle last week in Winnipeg. So you might expect the Eskimos defense to be a little bit surly this afternoon. As for the Riders, they are out of the playoff chase, but they have yet to establish that number 1 quarterback, the man that they feel can help them get out of the basement in the CFL East. Tom Burgess gets the nod to start today. For their comments now, let's go up to the broadcast booth. Pat Marsden standing by with Leif Pettersson.
Thank you, Dan. Hello again, everybody. There's no question, Leif, in speaking with the players, that this has been an unsettling week for that Eskimo ball club. The suspension by League Commissioner Doug Mitchell of Hec Poitier for having possession of that illegal substance has created some uncertainty in that Edmonton club.
Well, it really has, Pat, but, you know, I think once the kickoff occurs today, things will go back to normal for the Edmonton Eskimos. But in chatting with Matt Dunnigan before the game, he said, yes, this past week has really been filled with turmoil. You know what that does? It really lowers your concentration level in practice. Of course, you always want to try and build up to the game on the weekend, and I think they've had a tough week, and we can only wait till the game starts to see how it really does affect them.
Well, when you talk about turmoil, you're talking about the Ottawa Rough Riders. I mean, they've shuffled bodies in and out of those various positions. And, I mean, if they don't lose by 3 touchdowns, I think it'll be a moral victory.
Well, they're in tough today, but they've got a few quality guys like Tom Burgess, Mark Barouche, and Mark Lewis. You know, if the quarterbacks can get time to throw, anything can happen, but they really have a monumental task in front of them.
Well, I think that if Ottawa is to make a fist of this at all, they have to jump out in front early. If the Eskimos jump out in front of them 14-0, they may need a computer to tally it all up. Dan?
Well, the Riders should be ready for this one, too. They've had the 2-week layoff. They also have one incentive. They want to snap a 5-game losing streak. The opening kickoff between the Riders and the visiting Edmonton Eskimos in just a moment. This is the CFL on CTV.
G'day. Canada sure is a sporting nation. This one's my favourite over here. Rap dancing. Of course, back home, our favourite sport is shark wrestling.
Shark wrestling?
Nothing better than sitting down to a few rounds of man versus hungry white pointer. With a drop of the amber nectar, Foster's.
White pointer?
Yeah. Of course, the hard part is getting the sharks into those tight little wrestling shorts.
Foster's, now brewed here.
You can shave closer and smoother all over, face, neck, and sideburn. Because Braun has created the totally new system 1, 2, 3. It adjusts 3 ways.
1.
So now you can shave
2.
closer and smoother
3.
all over. Redesigned for extra smoothness, the foil is now pearl finished and platinum coated. The revolutionary Braun system 1, 2, 3 shaves closer and smoother all over for your money back.
Please rise and join RCMP Staff Sergeant Garth Hampton, joined by some of the cast of the RCMP show Sounds and Saddles in the singing of our national anthem.
Oh, Canada, home and native land, true patriot love in all our sons' command. Carta porter le pays, il sait porter la croix. Ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Well, the Ottawa fans who have shown up here at Lansdowne Park this afternoon are hoping that their Rough Riders can finish on a high note. Now, this is their second last game of the season. They'll wrap it up next week in Hamilton, but this is the final home game for the Rough Riders, and it has been an extremely trying year for them. They started off so quickly, won their first 2 games of the season. Since then, they are 1-13. The Rough Riders are going to receive this kickoff. Brad Caleb, number 23, and number 19, Robert Reed, are back. Tom Dixon will kick it off for the Eskimos. It was their choice, but with the weather being such a factor here and the wind really is gusting, the Eskimos, I would suspect, would like to hem Ottawa deep in their own zone at the start of this ball game and maybe capitalize on the poor field position. Caleb on the run at the 22-yard line, had trouble handling the ball, but does get it out over the 40 to the 41. Brought down there by Frank Balkovic. This is the way the Rough Riders are going to start. Tom Burgess comes back at quarterback. He has played a number of times this season, but they gave each of the 3 quarterbacks an opportunity to start in the last 3 weeks, and it's his turn.
Well, Mark Barus at the inside slot back. He's their most dangerous receiver, having caught 67 passes this year. Mark Lewis, a deep threat as well. Clorindo Grilly, we don't know much about him, and he's in his first year from McMaster.
They're going to run the ball on first down as Jim Reed, the big fullback, crosses the 45 to about the 47. He ran into Frank Balkovic initially, and that was enough to slow him down sufficiently for the others to come along. The pickup, however, is 6 yards. As Murphy, the fullback, as Jim Reed, the fullback, picks up 6, make it 2nd and 4.
Well, that's the defensive front 4 that the Ottawa Rough Riders will have to protect against. They're an excellent group at sacking the passer. Stuart Hill leads that group.
The pass hit Brad Caleb, but unfortunately it wasn't where you'd like it. Ball was slightly behind him, and Ottawa did not look particularly effective on that pass play in the run and shoot. So Edmonton accomplishes what they set out to do. They kicked off to Ottawa. Now Kenny Clark will be punting the ball back to them.
Got everything?
Number 25 is Tom Richards. 78 is Stefan Jones. And they are awaiting this punt from Ken Clark, who's had another outstanding year, but has said this is it. He's hanging them up.
And he's really kicking into a stiff breeze that was down in the field before the game, and it's really blowing strong. They fake the ball.
Well, this is what you can do when you're out of playoff contention. Robert Reed took the direct snap. Danny Bass makes the tackle, but Ottawa gets the first down.
Well, you know, that's kind of a characteristic of Tom Dimitrov, too, because I played for Tom when he was a head coach in Hamilton for 5 games, and he was a gambler then, and I certainly like what they've done here on their first series, although, as Pat very astutely mentioned, when you've got nothing at stake, it makes those decisions a lot easier.
So the ball at the 53-yard line as Ottawa picks up the initial first down of the ball game. Little stutter step by Robert Reed. Kind of did get the motion of the defensive secondary going the other way, and he's able to pick up about 7 yards as he runs it to the right side of that Ottawa offense and right into the arms of James Zachary, number 92.
That's interesting. Both of these teams today, Edmonton and Ottawa, starting 2 Canadian running backs in their backfield, and here's number 19, Robert Reed, following Brad Fawcett's block. But you know, it's interesting that already Ottawa is trying to establish that run. Edmonton's defense is the toughest in the CFL to run against.
Burgess on 2nd and 3, looks, fires, and it was very nearly picked up by Frank Balkovic, number 49. So again, Ottawa will have to line up in what will be a punt formation. Whether or not they will remains to be seen.
Well, you really wonder what Tom Burgess was looking at there, because he threw it right into the arms of number 49 outside linebacker Frank Balkovic. He's in his 3rd year from the University of Toronto, and he just dropped into his zone coverage, nothing fancy, and could have maybe had that interception.
Well, with the ball at the Edmonton 50-yard line, Ottawa again is going to go for it. Burgess took the pass from center, but he does not appear to have it this time. Stuart Hill, number 36, was there to make the stop. It wasn't a clean exchange between the center and the quarterback to begin with.
Well, it's an interesting punt alignment that the Ottawa Rough Riders have been using most of 1986. There you see Tom Burgess lined up in normal formation as a quarterback would, and I think if he thinks like he can't pick it up, maybe they just snap it through his legs to Ken Clark, but that time he saw maybe that there was an opening, couldn't pick it up, but Edmonton takes over.
And this is a super situation for the Eskimos because they begin from their 47-yard line. Dunnigan wants to set up the screen and does to Milson Jones.
Oh, he got a great block from number 67, Rod Conop, pulling out of there.
Tony Fitzpatrick, who's playing in his 2nd game as a Rough Rider defensive end, number 61, was there to make the tackle. There's a look at how the Eskimos line up today, and as they have most of this season, Milson Jones 34 and Chris Skinner 35, and the receivers, they're terrific.
Yeah, they've got a good group to work with. Rick House back in the lineup today. Still got a pretty tender ankle, but they feel like he's able to play, and they want to get him some work before the playoffs start. You know, we talked in the opening. This is a critical game. They want to sew up first place right here.
Well, the ball comes loose, and the Ottawa Rough Riders have recovered it back at the Eskimo 47-yard line. Greg Marshall, number 66, with the fumble recovery for the Rough Riders.
Great penetration along that right side, and number 21, Will Lewis, comes in and puts the final hit. Michel Bourgeot is well in there, and Greg Marshall comes up with a fumble recovery and a big break for the Riders.
In a scoreless ball game, Edmonton nothing, Ottawa nothing. We'll be back in a moment.
The first Canada Savings Bonds went on sale 40 years ago as everyone looked to brighter days. They've become our favorite way to invest and save because they're fully secure and they can be cashed at any time. Canada Savings Bonds give such a healthy rate of return, the future still looks brighter for everyone who buys them. Once again, once a year, Canada, your bonds are here. On sale October 27th.
New Chevy S10s from GM, Canada's #1 in truck sales.
You gotta keep working at staying #1.
And GM stays #1, making Chevy S10 pickups and maxi cabs the kind of value only #1 can make.
You gotta keep making the hardest trucks on the road.
Chevy puts more into building every new S10 with the quality and reliability you want.
You gotta keep working at staying #1. Way to go, Chevy!
Well, a big break early for Ottawa, and it was the good hit by number 21, Will Lewis, and Greg Marshall finally comes up with a fumble recovery.
We're talking concentration. Not much of it shown there by the Eskimos, particularly number 83, Chris Johnson. But then not a whole lot shown by Mark Barousse on that pass either for the Ottawa Rough Riders. as Tom Burgess was looking for the man who has caught more passes than any other Rough Rider this year, number 9, Mark Barousse. He had 67 receptions coming into this ball game.
I suspect with the wind blowing as strong as it is, that ball's going to do some funny tricks, especially going into the wind.
We're just underway here in the nation's capital in a scoreless ball game. Burgess gets rid of it just at the final moment. The screen is set up to Jim Reed, and Reed fights his way down to the Edmonton 32-yard line. It'll be a big first down for the Rough Riders, a pickup of 15 yards before Phil Jones, number 24, was there to bring him down.
Well, you know, it's not surprising on 2nd and long to throw that screen and to throw it to number 32, Jim Reed. He's averaging over 11 yards a reception this year, and for a fullback, that's phenomenal. He does a great job, and Ottawa picks up a first down. You know, they'd really like to capitalize on that turnover.
Well, we suggested they had to score early if we were going to have some entertainment here this afternoon, and they are moving the football. Unfortunately, that time, there was no chance for Mark Barousse to get to the ball thrown by Tom Burgess.
Well, actually, Tom Burgess made a pretty poor read right there. Mark Barousse, the receiver, when you run a hook pattern in the middle, if that middle linebacker's working towards you, well, you stop dead. You don't run into him. And that time, Mark Barousse, or Tom Burgess should have thrown it right where Barousse stopped and not let him into the middle.
Burgess has thrown 5 touchdown passes this year, had 11 intercepted.
Now, once again, 2nd and 10, and you don't want to do this too often against Edmonton.
Quickly to young Mark Lewis, and Lewis is down to the 21-yard line. He should have a first down. Hit there by Harding, number 4, on the corner.
Pretty tough to defend against this, especially when you're to the single side of the field. There's a lot of field to work with. You have to respect Mark Lewis's deep speed and a little slant or quick post, if you will. Picks up another first down, back-to-back first downs for the Ottawa Rough Riders.
The gain was 11. It is first down Ottawa, the ball at the Edmonton 21-yard line. And this is Barousse, the ball carrier this time, trying to get outside. Gets inside the 15 to about the 13. He'll have a pickup of very close to 8 yards.
And once again, a great block by the left guard, number 57, Brad Fawcett. He pulls out around the corner. Does a good job sealing to the inside. Watch the cross backfield action and a handoff to the slot back, Mark Barousse. 57, Brad Fawcett seals off Danny Bass, and that allows Barousse to get to the outside.
It's second down, about 1.5 yards to go for the first down. Burgess keeps it himself, gets inside the 10. It's an Ottawa first down with touchdown to go for the Rough Riders, who have marched all the way from the Edmonton 47 after the fumble recovery by Greg Marshall.
Yeah, 3 first downs in a row for Tom Burgess, and boy, he would really like to establish himself. And I'm sure Jackie Parker's concerned because they've had that week, like we told you, a lot of turmoil, a lot of controversy, and boy, it's unsettling for the players, but for Jackie too. He doesn't really know how to, you know, what do you say to the guys this week? I think you just say rise above it and let's carry on.
He's done an outstanding job with Edmonton this year, as he did last. The pass was intended for Jim Reed. They were trying to set up that screen once again, but unfortunately the ball bounced in front of him.
Good pressure from number 88, Tom Tuine. He's the leading sacker on that Edmonton defense. He got those big hands up and forced Tom Burgess into a bad throw. 5 years with the Edmonton Eskimos, Tom Tuine from the University of Hawaii.
5 great years, really, too, eh?
Oh, yeah. They've got a good front four. John Manrich, James Zachary, and Stuart Hill, along with Tom Tuine. That's a good group.
Second down for Tom Burgess. Looks to Robert Reed in the end zone. No flag. The Ottawa fans are upset. Robert Reed is going to chase the official up the sideline and then decides he better get back to the huddle.
Well, there's number 49, Frank Volkovic, in the coverage now. You have to determine if you're a referee if he's screening, not trying to play the ball, and boy, that's interference.
There's
no
question about it.
When I first saw it, it looked as though interference. We have, of course, the luxury of the instant replay, but I mean, that's an easy call to make, and the official was right on the spot. I'm surprised.
The line judge, Ralph Ferguson, number 65, or was it number 81?
No,
the back
number 81,
judge, Roger Keeley.
Yeah, it was Roger Keeley, and I mean, I don't know how you can be looking right at it and miss that one.
Dean Dorsey's field goal attempt is blocked by James Zachary, number 92.
Wow, he just came right up the chute there, and nobody blocked him, and wow, what a break for Edmonton. You know, you've had a team drive against you, and all of a sudden you get out of it with no points scored. That's great defense.
Well, you saw 92, James Zachary with the hands in the air to keep it a scoreless ball game. We'll be back in just a moment.
The heat is on the street beside your head. It's the Pontiac heat and the beat's alive.
Pontiac Grand Am puts more heat on the street. Terrorists strip off the road while keeping up appearances.
Oh, tell me, can you feel it? Tell me, can you feel it? Pontiac, the heat is on, it's on the street. Don't you wanna go? Now's the time. Feeling the heat. You're moving to the beat. Get moving to the high line. Never high line. You're moving, so give it. It's your turn now. So take it. Get moving to the high line. Miller High Line.
Miller High Line, cold and clear. Now in a twist cap.
Zachary, who blocked the field goal and is certainly responsible for having a scoreless ball game to this point. He and back judge Roger Keeley, because Roger Keeley really blew the call.
Definitely the 13th man.
So the Eskimos begin from their 12-yard line. Dunnigan looking, had time. Flags go down. So does Matt. And on top of him is number 61, Tony Fitzpatrick. But we likely have a holding call against the Eskimos.
Well, initially, Lloyd Lewis, number 76, got the good pressure. I don't know if he caused the holding penalty, but Ottawa's defense, especially the front four, are really going to have their work cut out for them with quarterbacks like Matt Dunnigan and Damon Allen.
See, I find this a strange acceptance by the Ottawa Rough Riders.
Yeah.
Instead of having 2nd and 10, now it's going to be 1st and 15.
Yeah, I do too.
Ottawa 61 offside, holding Edmonton number 55. The difference is 5 yards and first down repeated.
Well, now it's not.
No choice.
Mystery now.
No, that's right.
So holding is 10 yards. Offside is just 5. So the difference is 5 yards, and it is first down repeated for the Eskimos at their 7-yard line, 1st and 15. Dunnigan gets it all the way to the 20-yard line, so he picks up the penalty and lots more. He'll bring up a 2nd and 2 after a gain of 13 yards.
You know, of course, when you think of Matt Dunnigan, not only a great passer, but we know how good a runner he is. He's only averaged 4.5 yards a carry this year, but in this kind of a situation where it's 1st and 15, it's a great play. They'll roll out, and if nobody's there, you just take off and run with it.
Yeah, and the graduate from Louisiana Tech loves to play the game and will do anything to win.
Of course, the one notable change, you see Leo Blanchard has moved out to that left tackle spot. Kurt Chapman now starts at the right guard today.
Well, the give was to Chris Johnston. Penalty marker is down. Roy Swoop, who is a newcomer to that Ottawa Rough Rider defensive alignment, who was with the New York Giants this season, number 59, was there to make the tackle.
Yeah, he really knifed in quickly. But, of course, the flag down on the play, and
offside, Ottawa number 83.
Michel Bourgeot got a little excited. He comes in on those short yardage defensive plays, and in fact, when the fumble was caused earlier in the first quarter, he was the guy that got the good penetration initially. There's the front four that Edmonton will be facing today. Tony Fitzpatrick, as Pat told you, the newcomer along that defensive line.
First down, Eskimos, the ball at their 25. And the screen is set up for Chris Skinner. And Skinner gets to the 35 for a first down before Swope, number 59, once again, was there to make the tackle. We'll call him everything by the time
Swope, he's got a chance to call a lot of things. But, you know, Edmonton's had just tremendous production this year from their two running backs, Chris Skinner and Milson Jones. They've both caught close to 50 passes. In fact, Milson Jones more than 50, but Chris Skinner's averaged 12.6 yards a catch. Milson Jones 9.4 yards a catch, and that's just tremendous for two running backs.
That was actually the 27th reception of the year for Chris Skinner. And he would have had 28, but the ball just went zipping right through his hands. Excuse me. When I said 27th, it should have been 47th.
Yeah, and he's saying, you know, that's what I got to do is just look it in, because it was a good throw by Matt Dunnigan. But, of course, you saw number 21, Will Lewis, sneaking in there, and some made Chris Skinner take his eyes off the football a little prematurely.
Well, it's second down and 10 yards to go. Dunnigan Looks, nothing there, and a flag comes down as the tackle was made by Greg Marshall, who for the third time in his career was selected by his teammates, the winner of the Bill Smythe Trophy, as Ottawa's top lineman of the year.
Well, it's funny, you know, what a difference late in the season makes, because earlier in the year, we'll hear the call.
Holding, Edmonton number 67, declined, third down.
Well, that's Rod Conoff, the left guard, called for holding. It really doesn't matter. Edmonton will have to give up the football, but earlier in the year, Greg Marshall was really under the gun with head coach Joe Moss. Of course, Moss now departed, but he's really come on to have a super year. He leads the Ottawa Rough Riders in sacks coming into this game, and of course, their most valuable player once again.
But the Edmonton drive stalls, and Tom Dixon is forced to punt. He puts this one high and deep to Mark Lewis. From his 25-yard line, he gets to the outside, now wants to cut it back inside, and has an excellent return over the 40 to the 43-yard line. That's where Ottawa will begin. It's a scoreless ball game. Ottawa nothing, Edmonton nothing. We'll be back in just a moment.
Tickets for Houston open party. It's all arranged. The ambassador's prepaid everything. Tickets, hotels.
Mr. Houston, yes, 6th and 1st class to Geneva.
That's right.
How will you be paying, sir?
Paying? But I thought... Fortunately, the American Express card has no preset spending limit. So when you need to cover the unexpected... the American Express card. Don't leave home without it.
At Cornell Chevrolet and Cadillac, we mean business when we say we're out to clobber the competition. To prove it, GM has made available 250 new cars to sell. With this kind of product and our kind of financing, you can bet we're ready to deal. There's no defense against GM. They're the best-built cars in the world. And at Cornell, we have a model right for you right now. Your next deal will be a knockout. It's a combination that can't miss. GM and Cornell Chevrolet and Cadillac on Douglas across from Mayfair. Just watch us clobber the competition.
Greg Marshall has played a lot of football for the Ottawa Rough Riders in the 8 years that he's been here, and most of it has been outstanding. But as Leaf mentioned, it was funny, earlier in the year they were down on him. The players obviously weren't. They're the ones who selected the winner of that Bill Smythe Trophy. Jackie Parker, he's got to say to himself, what's going on out here? I mean, a scoreless ball game, a club that has made as many changes as Ottawa. Here we are trying to lock up first place in the overall CFL standings, and we can't score a point in the first quarter. Jim Reed almost fell down, but maintained his balance to get to the 45 as James Zachary, as you see, number 92, was there to bring him down.
Pat, I don't know if you saw it, a halftime show earlier this year we had on CTV. We had a personal and up-close with James Zachary, and this young man can sing. He did some singing, had his brother up from the States, and the two of them, boy, I think they could have a career when they're finished football.
You should join them, and you could be the Johnny Mathis of the trio. Spy does a terrific Johnny Mathis.
Sure.
I was good on Al Jolson myself. Second down and 8 yards to go. Over the middle to a wide-open Brad Caleb. And Caleb, a man that Coach Tom Dimitrov says is going to be an outstanding receiver, or at least can be, is brought down by Bruce Green, who's in there at the middle linebacking spot, number 38.
Well, you know, that's a good pass pattern on a second and long, especially if you're anticipating a zone coverage, because Danny Bass, you see, number 30, gets a good deep drop. He's a very active middle linebacker. He's quick. So when he is that quick, he's going to get a deeper drop ball.
And it is an Ottawa first down. They move the ball over their own 50 to about the 53-yard line.
Now, the one impressive thing here in the first half for Ottawa, and one thing in their favor, they've had great field position working into this win.
4 minutes and 18 seconds left to play in the opening quarter. We are still scoreless, which may come as a surprise to many Edmonton Eskimo fans. But the fourth quarter is really the Eskimos' big 15-minute period anyway. Hard running by Robert Reed. I really have never been impressed by Reed, but he certainly is running hard today, as Stu Hill, number 36, was there to bring him down.
Well, the offensive line's doing a good job. The right guard, number 69, Jerry Dobrovny, gets around the corner. They seal off Stuart Hill, and that's the key. Once you seal off the defensive end, you've got a chance to make some yards, and they did.
Robert Reed performed, of course, with the Saskatchewan Roughriders, a graduate, another one of them, of Simon Fraser. And Ottawa, the Ottawa staff does like him. The reverse now to Brad Caleb. But Caleb ran right in to where all the tacklers were, including Craig Schaefer. So he actually ends up losing about 2 or 3 yards, and it'll bring up a 3rd and 5. Watch this one.
Yeah, on 2nd and 2, kind of an unusual call to run the reverse. That's usually a first down kind of play, and Robert Reed hands off to Brad Caleb, but 43, Craig Schaefer, the outside linebacker, reads it perfectly. He just followed the guard and made the play.
Ken Clark stands inside his 45. He hasn't punted yet in the first quarter, although this is the 3rd time they've lined up in punt formation, and they're not going to punt this time either. And Reed will be very close to the first down and appears to have it. Cliff Toney, number 6, finally did make the tackle, but Ottawa again picks up a first down on a 3rd down gamble, and that one was 3rd and more than 5.
Well, there's no question in 1986 the Ottawa Rough Riders have put the adventure back into the punt formation because you don't know if Tom Burgess is going to be in there and throw a pass or if they're going to snap it to a Robert Reed or snap it to Kenny Clark. So what has become a boring kind of play, they've made very exciting.
For those who may not remember, I'll tell you a little bit about Tom Dimitrov in a moment. That pass by Burgess was picked off by Craig Schaefer, and the Eskimos are going to have possession at the 37-yard line. Talking about the gambling, Tom Dimitrov was a quarterback in Ottawa back in the 1950s. He and Hal Ledyard used to share the quarterbacking duties, and Tommy was a scrambler and a gambler, so it doesn't surprise me when you see his club doing these things.
Well, Tom Burgess really tried to squeeze that ball into Rob Harding, who was in at the slot back position, and Craig Schaefer comes across, makes the good read at the good catch, and that's his first interception. Boy, he waited a long time for that one.
Now let's see if Matt Dunnigan and that offense can get moving. On the draw, Chris Skinner gets to the line of scrimmage and no further. Ron Engelson, number 64, the defensive tackle, was there to meet him right in the hole.
Well, you've got to be impressed with the way the Ottawa Rough Riders have played here in this first quarter. Defensively, they have not given Edmonton anything, and I kind of suspected with just a little over 2 minutes remaining in the wind at their back that Matt Dunnigan might start to air it out a little bit.
Well, he's going to have to because the loss was 3 yards at 2nd and 13. Dunnigan gets out of the traffic, throws. Rick House makes the catch at the 50-yard line. It'll be an Eskimo first down as Mike McIntyre, number 39, the safety, got there too late. Pickup was 16 yards and the first down.
Well, Rick House back in the lineup today. Matt Dunnigan told me that Rick's ankle was still bothering him a little bit, but he's a guy that they've got to have in there. He's a real game breaker. Been troubled with injuries the last few years since coming over to the Eskimos from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, but he is no question an excellent receiver.
This is the furthest the Eskimos have traveled so far this afternoon. They started this drive on their 50-yard line, and now they're in Ottawa territory at the 49. Henry Taylor, the linebacker, recovers the football.
Well, how about that? A big hit put on Chris Skinner. Looked very harmless. There's number 27, Jerome Erdman. He came over, of course, from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers this year, getting a chance to play a little bit of defense and dish out some punishment instead of taking it. But let's see what happens here. Chris Skinner makes a good catch, cuts it up, and there's Henry Taylor. And the hit, I think Henry Taylor just stripped the ball loose, and Jerome Erdman came up with the recovery.
So Ottawa, again, the beneficiary of a turnover. And on the draw, this is Robert Reed. Reed straight ahead to midfield for a pickup of very close to 6 yards. Bruce Green, number 38, was there to bring him down. And all of this comes with just 45 seconds left to play in this opening quarter.
Well, you know, we suggested off the top of the show that we didn't know how the Eskimos would react to all the turmoil that's taken place this week, and they sure look flat here in the first quarter.
Yeah, they do not look good at all, but let's give Ottawa some credit. They played well for this opening 15-minute period, and they've gotten some breaks. Burgess fires. The catch is made by Brad Caleb. No, they rule no catch now. And there's a penalty marker down on the opposite side of the field. The Ottawa players are not too happy with that call by the line judge, Ralph Ferguson.
Well, we're going to have it's a tough angle for us to see here. It kind of looked as though he made the catch there. Maybe when he rolled over, the ball came loose, but it doesn't really matter. A penalty is going to help the Rough Riders out regardless. Well, if Marco Sincar would get his helmet out of the way, we could see.
Number 38, Edmonton, first down.
Well, a penalty against number 38, Bruce Green, gives Ottawa a first down to the 40-yard line of the Eskimos with just 15 seconds left to play in the quarter. Jim Reed, the fullback, gets it inside the 35 to about the 33-yard line. Craig Schaefer, number 43, makes the tackle as the Ottawa Rough Riders endeavor to split their season series with the Eskimos, and that's what's happened the last 3 years in a row.
Boy, at 6'3" and 230 pounds, when Jim Reed gets a full head of steam and gets a break in that line of scrimmage to get through, he can really dish out some punishment. And that time, Craig Schaefer was the recipient of a real blow by Jim Reed.
This will be the final play of the opening quarter, barring a penalty. And again, this is Jim Reed. And Reed is inside the 25 to the 24-yard line. It's another Ottawa first down as the Rough Riders continue to pile up the yardage. As we come to the end of the first quarter, it is a scoreless ball game between Ottawa and Edmonton. We'll return with the second quarter in a moment.
Whatever your financial goals are, the life insurance industry has the products to help you achieve them. We offer RRSPs and a wide choice of savings and retirement income plans. We can help you build for the future and provide guaranteed protection for you and your family. A sound, secure financial plan can help you achieve tomorrow's goals without sacrificing your enjoyment of today. Talk to your life insurance agent about the best way to achieve financial security.
If you're a young Canadian thinking about where you're going, you're beginning to see the obstacles. The high cost of university, the difficulty of learning a high-tech trade. Think about the Canadian Armed Forces. We need you. We'll help you get a degree or learn a skill and guarantee you a job. Visit a recruiting center and talk to us. It's your choice, your future. The Canadian Armed Forces.
The convenience of BC Cellular telephone calling lets you keep in touch while you're on the move.
It's for you.
Wherever business takes you, a cellular phone means clear, direct contact with clients, suppliers, or associates.
It's for you.
And BC Cellular has the experience to serve you best because it's part of the BC Tel Group.
It's for you.
BC Cellular telephone service. It's for you.
As we begin quarter number 2, the Ottawa Rough Riders have a first down at the Edmonton 23. Tom Burgess rolling out of there. But he gets absolutely nowhere because of the great pursuit by Craig Schaefer. Boy, is he quick.
He really is, and we've mentioned his name a lot so far in the first half. You know, as a blitzing linebacker, he has 6 sacks on the year, and I guess that really tells you how much speed he's got. He's able to get in quickly.
Let's just pass along, after we tell you about the first quarter statistics, how Ottawa actually dominated the Eskimos, 101-58, but the 2 turnovers. I want to say hello to our good pal Al McCann right after this play, because Al had an unfortunate happening occur to him last night. It's second down and 13 yards to go as Tom Burgess sets up for Ottawa, looked to the end zone, and then decided to run it himself. And he gets down to the 20, close to the 19, but they're going to be 7 yards short of the first down because Danny Bass was there to make the tackle. But you know the story better than I do. What happened to Al last night?
I talked to Brian Hall before the game, who, of course, is the play-by-play man for the Edmonton radio. And he mentioned that Al McCann last night was on the sidelines of the game, and the horse ran over him at Calgary at McMahon Stadium. So Al,
I don't know how funny that is, but I mean, I certainly hope that Al is fully recovered. They said that he had an anticipated concussion and back injury.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's funny at all. And Al, I hope you're feeling better today, but quit taking on those horses.
Boy, oh boy. Dean Dorsey's field goal attempt is no good. So it goes for but a single point. Boy, oh boy, the Ottawa Rough Riders have completely dominated the Eskimos, and that's the first point of the ball game. Dean Dorsey, who's had another great year, misses on what for him is normally a very, very easy field goal attempt.
Talk about a great year. I mean, he leads the league with an 81.8% average, 27-33 coming into this game. Of course, now a 27-34, and really a chip shot for him. Here's what happened last night in Calgary. No, that's just the horse, but you can imagine that horse coming down the sidelines, and poor Al McCann, the recipient of probably the hardest hit of the night.
Boy, can you imagine if the horse had ever hit me? I would have rolled all the way to Saskatchewan.
Well, the horse wouldn't be here to tell the story.
So from the 25-yard line, it is first down Eskimos, trailing now 1-0. And on the draw, Milson Jones gets nothing, as Tony Fitzpatrick, number 61, is there to make the stop.
Tony Fitzpatrick, originally in university, played with the national champion Miami Hurricanes. He's 6 foot, 250 pounds. This is his second game, and they're giving him an opportunity to play here and see if he could figure into their plans for next year.
Well, Leaf, I didn't notice the ball hit the upright, did it? Because there is no score on the scoreboard, and they started from the 25, so...
I didn't think, obviously it did.
Dunnigan really scrambling. And dives for the marker, but doesn't get there. He's forced out at the 33.5-yard line by Roy Swope, number 59. So we have to assume that that ball hit the upright, and I certainly wasn't aware of that. I apologize for whatever heartache I may have caused Edmonton Eskimo fans, but this is still a scoreless ball game.
Pat, you were talking earlier about how well the Ottawa defense has been playing. The word from their bench is that maybe the Edmonton offensive line misses Mr. Pache quite a bit. Lloyd Lewis is saying that so far they have been entirely able to control the line of scrimmage.
Dan, let me ask you this. Did the ball hit the upright on that field goal try by Dean Dorsey?
Not that I saw. I thought it was good.
Well, there's no question it was wide.
Mark Lewis finally picks the ball up for Ottawa and gets it over the 45 to the 48. And that's where they're going to have it when we come back. It's still a scoreless ball game, apparently, according to that scoreboard, and we'll return in just a moment.
This is how Chevy's soaring ahead now. Introducing the 87 Chevy Nova. And while we could tell you about the room, ride, handling, quality, and price, it's when you drive it that you'll simply say it's absolutely right. 87 Chevy Nova, the right value from Chevy.
Way to go, Chevy.
Hockey fans could never agree on who had the hardest shot, Bobby Hall or me.
Bobby Hall, Eddie.
Or who was a better skater, me or Gordie Howe?
It was Gordie.
But one thing we can all agree on is Miller Lite.
Because we know light tastes great.
Light tastes less Billy. Tastes great. Tastes less
Boy, I'm going to keep my nose out of this one.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you've always wanted in a beer, and less.
Well, as you take a look at Edmonton's final home game of 1986, you see that the Saskatchewan Roughriders are visitors, and we'll be out to take that one in. Here is the official explanation. The ball did, in fact, hit the upright, and, of course, that means it is dead instantly and comes to the 25-yard line. So we are still scoreless with 12.5 minutes left to play in this second quarter. Ottawa with a first down from their 48-yard line. Burgess pass complete to Mark Lewis. Lewis, the son of the Lincoln locomotive Leo Lewis of Winnipeg Blue Bomber fame, gets a first down for Ottawa into the Edmonton 48-yard line before Danny Bass brings him down, but not before Lewis picks up 15 yards on his 59th reception of the season.
And the impressive thing about him is he's averaging over 17, almost 18 yards a catch this year, and that's what you want to get from your wide receivers, up close to that 20-yard per catch range, and a great accomplishment for not a great season. He's been over 1,000 yards in receiving, and that's a nice measure.
This is Robert Reed. I don't know if Reed runs with his eyes closed, but he runs right into the back of his blocker 3 out of 4 times, and right into the arms of the tackler.
It's tough on the back.
Yeah. But I mean, on the reverse, he ran right into the arms of the tacklers, too, rather than trying to go either inside or out.
There's Tom Dimitroff, and of course, I mentioned earlier, I played for Tom when he was a head coach in Hamilton. Well, he's a player's kind of coach. They all like him, a pretty easygoing attitude.
And a very successful coach with wealth. Burgess, under terrific pressure from Danny Bass, who was blitzing on the play, fires the ball away, and it will bring up a third down.
Well, Edmonton blitzes selectively. They don't come, of course, on every down. They're not too reckless at defense, but when they do, they're usually very successful. All their linebackers are well up in the sack totals this year, and they make it very difficult. Gilbert Renfrew, there you see number 7. He's probably the purest thrower of the 3 quarterbacks that Ottawa has, but today they want to get a look at Tom Burgess.
Dean Dorsey has tried 2 field goals this afternoon. One was blocked, the other one hit the upright, and now he's going to try from 51 yards out.
This is probably the one he'll make.
Yeah. He hit the upright again. Now, if you're in Las Vegas and you give 1,000 to 1 odds, there is no chance that anybody's going to take that bet that a field goal kicker is going to make 2 field goals back-to-back and they both hit the upright. Dean Dorsey can't believe it.
Well, it was a great kick, 51 yards with the wind, plenty of distance, and then, of course, you'll see the result.
Unbelievable. So it remains scoreless with 10:49 left to play in the second quarter. We'll be back in a moment.
Meet the newest member of Tandy's family of affordable MS-DOS computers, Tandy 1000EX. Now you can run thousands of popular MS-DOS programs on a low-cost home computer. Perfect for your high school or college student, or when you want to take work home with you. Tandy 1000EX is a blue chip special at only $9.99 in all Radio Shack stores and Tandy computer centers. Tandy 1000EX, a serious home computer. Another reason why Tandy is clearly superior.
You're looking at some of the quickest cars on the planet. A Porsche 928S, a Ferrari GTO, a Lamborghini Countach, and a Buick, a Regal Grand National. You may be just as surprised to discover how much of the world Buick takes on with this new LeSabre. In performance, handling, luxury, and styling. Buick has the power to innovate.
Dean Dorsey can't believe it. Nobody else can believe it. The most accurate kicker in the CFL had 1 field goal attempt blocked. The other 2 hit the upright. And now the Edmonton Eskimos, who have only gained 58 yards total offense today, try to get things moving. Chris Skinner dropped the ball right in his hands at what would have been the first down marker.
I hope Dean's not going to blame me for his bad fortunes. I was out in the field with him before the game while he was kicking, and I was kind of kidding around with him, saying he was about the 45-yard line. I was saying, okay, this is the last play of the game. It's the Grey Cup. If you kick this thing, you'll win it. Just as he was going to kick it, he kicked it about 10 yards wide. Yeah.
Well, nobody's ever suggested you were a good luck charm. So. It's 2nd down and 10 from the 25-yard line. 10 minutes and 15 seconds left to play in a scoreless first half. They swing the ball out to Chris Skinner. And Skinner coughs up the football. The Rough Riders have recovered. Boy, this has been a nightmare for the Eskimos so far. Fortunately for them, they're playing a team that hasn't been able to capitalize. But Ottawa gets possession at the 35-yard line.
Well, this is the 2nd time in the first half that Chris Skinner's coughed up the football. He makes a nice catch, but then Will Lewis, number 21, comes up and makes the hit. The ball comes loose, and once again, it's
Jerome
a big break.
Erdman.
I think it maybe was Jerome Erdman, but another big break for Ottawa.
How many of these can you get and not capitalize?
It was Jerome Erdman, his 2nd of the day.
Toss goes to Robert Reed. And Reed that time did cut it back, but unfortunately John Mandrich was waiting for him. I'll tell you now, John Mandrich is a scary-looking guy. I ran into him in the elevator today. I never said hello or anything. I just stood there against the wall.
Oh, he's got
with the big bald head.
The bald head there.
I've got the bald head, but I mean, we're talking skin with it.
Yours is by choice.
No, his is
by choice, rather.
2nd down and about 9 yards to go for Ottawa. Burgess to Mark Lewis. Oh, the ball was right in his hands, and he couldn't hang on. Greg Harding did grab him by the arm as he went by, but the ball couldn't have been thrown any better.
Oh, that was a picture-perfect play. You know, this is what you hope for. You've got great defense. Greg Harding couldn't have played it any better, but Lewis was able to get in behind, and oh, what a great throw by Tom Burgess, and all for naught. See, this is the thing that's bothered me about Mark Lewis this year. You know, he's over 1,000 yards and receiving, and he's had some big catches and some touchdowns, but that's the kind of catch you've got to make, and I've seen him drop that kind of a ball a number of times this year.
Dean Dorsey now from the 40-yard line. And it is good. Finally for Dean Dorsey on his 4th try. He gets one through the uprights, and Ottawa goes ahead 3-0. We'll be back in just a moment.
All gasolines are the same? Not anymore. Finally, there's a gasoline so unique, many people will actually feel the difference. New Formula Shell. It's got a spark enhancer that actually improves combustion. You get quicker response, smoother acceleration, and better overall performance. So different from all other gasolines, we challenge you to feel the difference in just a couple of tankfuls. New Formula Shell.
The move is on.
Race fans, hot rodders, it's the Canadian Triple Crown of Motorsports this Saturday in BC Place, featuring the big bad battle of the monster trucks. You'll see Monster Mash, Ms. Bigfoot, Skull Bandit, and more. Plus the Wild Hot Rod Truck Bowl Championships. See Jim Arfon Starflyer taking on the Avenger, the thrills of motocross drag racing, and the King of Suspense, Spanky Spangler's death-defying Leap for Life. Tickets now, CBO outlets, this Saturday in BC Place. It's the wildest show on wheels.
The Eskimos are trying to lock up first place here. Tomorrow we'll be in Toronto, where the Argos are hoping to vault beyond the Hamilton Ticats back into first place in the Eastern Conference when they play host to the Montreal Alouettes, and we will have that game for you here on CTV. Dean, one of the great kickers in all of football, had a nightmare to start with today, but he finally puts Ottawa into a 3-0 lead. Dunnigan's pass is complete to Rick House. House has the first down to the 48-yard line. He's brought down by Dennis Clay, number 14, and Darrell Hall. Hall, incidentally, number 24 in that Rough Rider secondary, is the only member of that secondary to have played against the Eskimos the first time this season. So it goes to show you how much shuffling is going on.
Well, of course, he was a member of the Edmonton Eskimos. In fact, in 1984 with them, he had 11 interceptions. So he's playing the hot corner, the right corner, and he'll see Brian Kelly most of the day.
And Rick House comes back and makes another catch, but also takes quite a hit from Jerome Erdman, number 27. Erdman, strangely, of course, best remembered as a pass receiver for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, comes to Ottawa, and they say he's just done a terrific job in that secondary when he's been in there.
Well, for a change, he gets to unload on somebody, and that time Rick House very vulnerable when he caught the football, and the young man, Jerome Erdman, who has 2 fumble recoveries already in the first half, unloads a pretty good hit.
Matt Dunnigan has completed 7 of 9 for 71 yards. Faces a 2nd and 5 situation right now. Boy, he's a cool dude. And Stephan Jones makes the catch inside the Ottawa 25 at the 23. I mean, that was such a pretty play. Dunnigan, with all the coolness of great quarterbacks that you'll see anywhere, delivers it on the money, and Jones really does come up with a fine catch.
Well, and strangely enough, it was against the zone defense. Nobody was beaten man-to-man. Stephan Jones just takes it to the inside. There you see Calvin Lovell, the corner. Well, he's hoping to get help from Will Lewis and Mike McIntyre, the middle safety, and they just don't get there. And 35 yards later, the Eskimos finally have something going.
Inside the Ottawa 25-yard line, it is first down, Eskimos trailing 3-0. Dunnigan, no good, looking for Brian Kelly. On the coverage, Darrell Hall, the cornerback on that side that Leaf mentioned was going to have his hands full today.
Well, he's playing the hot corner, and he will have Brian Kelly, as I said, most of the afternoon. But, you know, he's practiced against him for a number of years. He knows his moves, and, boy, he was right there with some great coverage.
And Leaf was mentioning Darrell Hall's 11 interceptions a couple of years back with Edmonton. He has 4 for the Rough Riders so far this year. Second on the club to Chris Ziegler, but Ziegler got 4 of his in the first game of the season and just 2 since. Dunnigan's pass is dropped once again. Ball was right into the hands of Tom Richards, number 25, but he had to stretch a little bit forward and couldn't pull it in.
Did a great job to get away from the rush, though, didn't he? And threw a good strike to Tom Richards. I don't know if he would have been able to pick up the first down. Last week against Winnipeg, Tom Richards caught 5 passes, had a touchdown, and pretty reliable receiver.
Go ahead, Dan.
Well, I just had a chance to talk with Tom Dixon about the 2 field goals that hit the crossbar by Dean Dorsey, and he was telling me he hit the crossbar once in Montreal from 16 yards away and then tried in practice 100 times. And he's good here 100 times from 16 yards away, and he could not hit it on purpose.
Well, that's what I say. So 2 in a row is 1,000 to 1 as far as I'm concerned. We're tied at 3 points apiece with 6 minutes and 26 seconds left to play in this first half. You know, Ottawa deserves all the credit in the world. They have played as fine a game as I've seen them play in the last 3 months.
Well, they're getting pretty good pressure on Matt Dunnigan, too, and I think that's the key. Although Dunnigan was able to get outside the pocket on that last drive a few times, they're still getting good production from that front four. It's a long game, though.
Well, at halftime this afternoon, we'll show you what happened in that Calgary-Saskatchewan game last night. Boy, the Stampeders really put it to the Rough Riders. We'll have a look at the Pacific Western Stars of last week. And your letters will be answered by Doug Mitchell, the commissioner of the Canadian Football League. Leaf will have his first half analysis. That's at halftime here this afternoon. As you can see, not a whole lot of folks turning out for the Ottawa Rough Riders' final game of the season, but it's understandable when you consider they've only won 3 and lost 13. Dixon's kickoff. It'll come down to Brad Caleb at his 28-yard line, and Caleb gets out over the 40 to the 42, where Bruce Green, number 38, was there to bring him down.
Ottawa's really had good field position, though, this entire first half. And, of course, when you've got a young quarterback, and all 3 of them are young quarterbacks, this is what you like to have. You don't want them backed up too far because it limits your offense so much. From here, he can make any choice of their plays that they have.
Well, apropos to what Leaf has said, I'll just tell you where they've started right after this play. From the 42-yard line, Burgess appeared to roll one way and then brought it back the other. Fires against the grain to Mark Lewis, but he can't catch up with the football. Play, though, was a good-looking play. It started out well, and had Lewis been able to catch up to the ball, it was 6 points. But Ottawa started at their 40, 49, at their 48. The worst they had to start today was from their own 35-yard line. So, I mean, Ottawa has really been in advantageous field position and have not been able to capitalize on it. That's a Tom Dimitrov type of play. I'm sure you would agree.
Oh, we had that in Hamilton.
Yeah.
It's called a dash, where you just go straight back and then peel to the outside, and it gives your receiver a lot more time to work himself open because the play takes so long to develop. Tommy Clements used that so much in Hamilton when I played with him.
Burgess just unloads the football because John Mandrich was all over him.
And so, too, was Tom Tuanay on Robert Reed, who they were trying to get the ball into. A little carryover from Halloween last night.
That guy actually is better looking now than he's ever been in his life, probably.
You're a cruel guy, Patio.
Kenny Clark has not punted this afternoon. He's been on the field more than the referee has. He's been out there about 6 times, but the ball never gets to him. I suspect it will now, though. It's 3rd and 10. And there's his first punt. Oh, does he drill this one? Way back is Stephan Jones at his 7-yard line. Oh, this guy can fly. He was 1 player away from going the distance for the Ottawa Rough Riders. Had Lloyd Lewis not made the tackle, Jones was going to be in the end zone.
Well, it so often happens. You outkick that coverage, and a fella like Stephan Jones does not need a lot of room to break one, and he gets through the first wave of tacklers, and once you do that, you've got a good chance. But Lloyd Lewis makes an excellent play to bring him down. Well, of course, today is what they call Brick Day at Lansdowne Park. They're giving away therapeutic bricks. You throw at something. And I'm going to show you that in a few minutes.
Can hardly wait. Dunnigan's pass is dropped by Nelson Jones. Well, between Skinner and Jones, they've dropped about 4 or 5 passes today already.
Now watch Greg Marshall there. You think he's tough?
I mean, that is impressive.
Yeah, didn't even get a scratch on his helmet.
You know what? That's probably why the Rough Riders are playing so well today. If this is how they warm up.
Boy, that would hurt, wouldn't it?
Actually, these are made of rubber. They wanted me to do it, but I wasn't sure I could get through them. Ottawa jumped a little bit. Greg Marshall was there.
You heard we were going to put some 3/4-inch plywood on the other side when you were coming through.
Ottawa jumped the gun. The 5-yard penalty will make it a 2nd and 5.
Offside, Ottawa, number 76, 5 yards, and second down repeated.
Well, it's 2nd and 5, as you heard referee Bobby Bryan. Lloyd Lewis, 76, was offside. So, too, was Greg Marshall. And the pass is caught by Brian Kelly for the first down at the 43-yard line.
Boy, that is a tough throw into the wind to the wide side of the field, throwing a quick out. You really got to have a strong arm to do that. You saw the wind really dip the ball. Brian Kelly just a few steps downfield, enough to pick up the first down, and he makes a good catch because that ball is really diving like a pitcher throwing a sinker.
And if memory serves me correctly, Brian is within about 5 touchdowns of Tommy Scott's all-time CFL record.
Absolutely. He's at 83 touchdowns in his career. Tommy Scott had 88.
Nice bit of faking by Matt Dunnigan as he fires complete to Chris Skinner. But Skinner manages only to get to the 49-yard line before Jerome Erdman knocks him out. But there was the play-action fake, and then Dunnigan put the ball on his hip, looked for Skinner, found him, and the play covers, well, it's actually about 7 yards. So,
well, he's as good as I've seen Matt Dunnigan at the play fakes. Watch how he hides that football and tries to draw the linebackers in.
Pickup is 7 yards, so make it 2nd and 3, Eskimos, with the ball at their own 49. Again, Ottawa jumps offside. Tony Fitzpatrick, playing in only his 2nd game as a Rough Rider, appeared to jump the gun. And it is Ottawa offside.
Well, what you really want to guard against, you know, Ottawa's played a super first half up to this point. It's 3-3. They've held Edmonton in check. You don't want to give them any free ones now. Don't give them the automatic first downs by dumb penalties jumping offside. Make Edmonton earn it.
Number 61, first down.
Well, he did indicate Tony Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick was with those great Miami Hurricane teams, the one that won the national championship, and he was considered their defensive leader. So the Eskimos get a free one, have a first down at their own 54-yard line. Brian Kelly makes the catch coming all the way across the field at the Ottawa 33-yard line. It was such a pretty play to watch develop. 22 yards, the pickup on the Matt Dunnigan to Brian Kelly pass.
That's a great style of offense for both Matt Dunnigan and Brian Kelly, because Dunnigan is able to roll out where he gets some time to throw, and Kelly coming all the way across the field. You can't stay with him for that amount of time.
Edmonton 3, Ottawa 3. We'll be back in just a moment.
Edge Gel. Watch this demonstration versus foam using an ordinary credit card. First, I'll shave the left side with foam, the right side with edge. Now listen to the foam side. Then listen to the edge side. See why most men agree. Nothing shaves closer than edge.
Get moving to Extra Old Stock and get that real beer taste.
Following today's telecast, the Carling O'Keefe Sports offensive game star will receive a Royal Canadian Mint 1-ounce solid gold coin, presented by Mita. At Mita, they believe the best way to make better copiers is not to make televisions. Mita, just great copiers, nothing else.
It's a 3-3 score, but Edmonton is on the move at the Ottawa 33-yard line with a first down as we enter the final 3 minutes of this second quarter. Ottawa has dominated the football game in most areas, but they couldn't put the ball in the end zone, which has been one of their problems all season, as the lowest scoring team in the CFL next to the Alouettes. And then Dean Dorsey, who never misses, had one block and hit the upright twice. Well, Dunnigan is inside the 15 to the 13-yard line, and when he finally did decide to go, it might have been about 2 seconds late because the entire field was open to him earlier. Jerome Erdman finally makes the tackle, But what a great athlete Matt Dunnigan is.
Well, he kind of leads Kurt Chapman around the corner, and he gets a great block on Roy Swope. And he really is truly a great athlete. We know all about his running abilities. You know, he's my kind of quarterback. He can throw it, he can run. You know, he's the kind of guy that really makes things happen out there with his abilities.
I mean, he really is the ultimate CFL prototype of a quarterback.
Yeah, we've said that before, and I really do believe that. If I was starting a team, he's the kind of guy I'd like to have there because he's a gritty kind of quarterback. He's tough, he's durable.
And he picked up 20 yards to make it a first down. Edmonton at the Ottawa 13. Chris Skinner did a nifty job of sidestepping and getting inside the 10 to about the 9. Greg Marshall, 66, made the stop for Ottawa. The Eskimos with 2:27 left to play in this second quarter, threatening to go into the lead for the first time. Ottawa led at 3-0, and then the Eskimos came back to tie it at 3. And now with second and about 7, they can go in for the first major score. Dunnigan looks, fires, but he underthrew the intended receiver.
Well, you know, Ottawa really did a good job in the secondary that time. They didn't let anybody get open. Dunnigan had no place to throw the football, so he kind of threw it away almost.
Tom Richards was the intended receiver, number 25. And so with 2:04 left to play in the second quarter, Tom Dixon will try to give the Eskimos the lead. And this is really just a chip shot for him. Ball will be spotted at the 17-yard line by Matt Dunnigan. That is good. So the Edmonton Eskimos, with 2 minutes and 2 seconds left to play in this first half, have gone in front of Ottawa 6-3. But you know, when you consider the difference in the standings of these two clubs, you say to yourself, is Edmonton going to explode in the second half? Or are they just going to, you know, go through the motions? Because this has not been their most intense game that I've seen them play.
Pat, conversely, you know what I've noticed with the Ottawa Rough Riders today, and we've seen them a lot this year. At the beginning of the year and halfway through the year, that was a tight football team out on the field, a team that almost looked like they were afraid to make a mistake or something. But this looks like a relaxed team. Now, of course, they're out of it, and that's true. But I think maybe some of Tom Dimitrov has really rubbed off on these guys, and they're playing relaxed today, and they're playing a good, solid, tight football game.
That's Michel Bourgeot, number 83, and number 64 is Ron Engelson. As the Rough Riders say, they want the Eskimos to kick it off. Your point is well made, and I think it is the difference in the two coaching styles. On the dead run comes Brad Califf. The ball really hung up there a long time, and he did an alert thing to make sure that he grabbed it in the air rather than allowing it to bounce. John Mandarich again was first down, number 75, as Califf got it to the 40-yard line, and Ottawa will have 1 minute and 58 seconds to see if they can get close enough for the tying field goal or possibly the go-ahead touchdown.
Well, once again, they start in great shape, too, their own 40-yard line, so with this big wind at their back, they should be able to air it out and at least get themselves in position for another Dean Dorsey attempt.
Brad Califf on the little counter play. And he gets about 3 yards after running maybe 30.
Well, I really thought they might try and open this up with just a little under 2 minutes remaining in the first half rather than run the slot back trap to Brad Califf. John Mandarich gets excellent penetration, and that kind of fouls the playoff right from the beginning, has no chance to succeed. Jeff George finally makes the final tackle on that.
George is a 6-year pro, but of course this is his first year with the Eskimos. Burgess looks, throws, passes complete to Clorindo Grilly. And Grilly is inside the 40 to the 38-yard line. That was an extremely well thought out pass pattern and perfectly executed with Phil Jones, the safety 24, finally coming across to make the tackle.
Well, Clorindo Grilly's been battling with the corner 28 Ron Howard all afternoon. This time he works into the inside, and that's a great throw by Tom Burgess, just over the outstretched arms of Danny Bass, the middle linebacker, and Clorindo Grilly makes his first catch, and a big one.
And on the run and shoot The ball is delivered to number 20 of the Ottawa Rough Riders, Bob Harding. And Harding, the graduate of York University, is brought down by Craig Schaefer after a pickup of just a couple.
Well, we're talking 6'6" and 235 is number 20 Bob Harding, excuse me. Great target for Tom Burgess to throw to.
2nd and 8. Burgess looking for Mark Lewis, and it's broken up neatly by the cornerback Greg Harding, number 4.
I don't know, sometimes I don't understand young quarterbacks. You know, that the play, it just, Greg Harding was in such great position. Like, I don't know why you throw this ball, because the chances of completing this are slim and none. And Mark Lewis turns into a defensive back. He had to break the play up.
So with 1:07 left, we could be tied once again because Dean Dorsey and the field goal unit is out there. Dorsey's try will come from 42 yards out. And this is exactly the same spot that he was good on his last attempt. And this time it's wide. And the Eskimos had every intention of running it out. Phil Jones did, but he was tackled in the end zone by Robert Reed.
It's a nice job of hustling down. The field goal miss is not the easiest thing to try and cover because you're in a tight formation, of course, to make sure you don't get it blocked. But Robert Reed did a nice job making the tackle in the end zone. Dean Dorsey, well, he's had a tough day.
And Leaf, on that last drive, Ottawa was without Tom Burgess's favorite target, Mark Barousse. The coaching staff tells us, or the training staff tells us, he has a bad hip pointer. He will not be back today.
Oh, they are tough. And if anybody at home's ever had one, you know what I'm talking about. That's a really debilitating injury.
The signal point by Dean Dorsey on the missed field goal makes it a 6-4 ball game. Eskimos start from their 35. Chris Skinner takes that little swing pass and runs it out close to the 45-yard line before Jerome Erdman, 27, makes the stop for Ottawa, along with Henry Taylor, number 42, the middle linebacker. Henry Taylor should head, I would suspect, for the nearest employment agency when this season ends, because Ottawa is so disenchanted with their linebackers, it's unbelievable. And Henry Taylor leads the list. Penalty marker is down as Matt Dunnigan steps out of bounds in Ottawa territory, but it'll all be in vain because the holding penalty will go against the Eskimos.
No, I can't remember when I've seen Ottawa hit as hard as they have in this first half. The entire defense has really been hitting the Eskimo players as hard as they can every time they touch the football.
Well, it is a holding penalty against the Eskimos, and it comes with 41 seconds left to play in the second quarter. And it'll bring up a second and about 11.5 yards to go for the first down. Well, if the Rough Riders held here, they might get a chance at a couple of plays. But Dunnigan finds Rick House clear down at the 30-yard line.
What a great move he made to get out of bounds and stop that clock.
With 26 seconds left, but Dunnigan, so cool, looked around, finally saw Rick House. Nobody around him. House makes the catch and then just steps out in front of Dennis Clay.
That's a great job to get out of bounds, and a great job by the offensive line of the Eskimos. They gave Matt Dunnigan all day to throw, and he was able to step straight up in that pocket, get a great view of the field. Ron Engelson, the injured Ottawa Rough Rider, on the play, but you know, with just a few seconds remaining, 26 in fact in the first half, that's a big play. And Rick House on the last series was disappointed when he came off the field. Felt he was open in the end zone, so now he should feel a little better after making that big catch.
48 yards the game, and Edmonton with lots of time, 26 seconds showing on the clock, are already inside the Ottawa 30-yard line. I mean, with a quarterback like Dunnigan, you can move the ball at will given specific situations.
Well, it's the mobility factor for Matt Dunnigan. He was able to bide his time earlier in the first half, get out of trouble, and make some completions. He's just an all-around kind of quarterback.
He's completed 13 of 19 for 201 yards, and yet they haven't looked particularly sharp. Stephan Jones, well, he tried to make the diving catch. The ball was just beyond him. It was certainly a good effort, though, by Jones. with Darrell Hall providing the defensive coverage.
Well, it was a good effort by Darrell Hall. He stayed right where you're supposed to stay on that streak or fly pattern, right on his hip, and make that throw be an absolutely perfect throw if he's going to make the catch, and Darrell Hall was right there. He's made a couple of good defensive plays in this first half. See the position? He's right on the hip there, and it has to be an absolutely perfect throw in order for Stephon Jones to catch the touchdown.
And that took 5 seconds off the clock. 21 seconds left to play in the first half. It's a 6-4 ball game. Eskimos out in front. Dunnigan throws it into the middle, and again, the back coming out of there. Number 35, Chris Skinner, drops it.
He's had a tough first half. He's dropped a couple of balls. He's coughed it up twice, and it's not really a normal day for Chris Skinner. He's usually one of the more reliable offensive players for the Eskimos.
He's caught 5 and dropped at least 3. So Tom Dixon, number 3, comes out onto the field, and it appears we're going to have a 36-yard field goal attempt.
Yeah, I don't think the wind's blowing as hard right now as it was at the beginning of the game, so really distance should not be a problem here for Dixon.
And it's wide. And the Rough Riders get it out of the end zone. Good effort by Mike McIntyre to save the single point as Tom Dixon misses his first field goal of the afternoon. He had been good on 2 previously. There is a penalty marker down on the field. This may have come after the play had finished. Let's wait and see. See if we're looking at an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty here. We'll wait and see.
Unnecessary roughness, spearing, number 68, Edmonton. First down.
Well, that's a number that Ottawa Rough Rider fans will well remember. Number 68 of the Eskimos is Rudy Phillips. As you take a look at Mike McIntyre, who gave that good effort to get the ball out of the end zone, and now the 15-yard penalty has moved it up to the 27-yard line with just 7 seconds left to play in the second quarter. So it remains a 6-4 ball game. And now a timeout has been taken by the Rough Riders. 12 degrees Celsius, the temperature here at Lansdowne Park. But, I mean, it looks like it's about 9 o'clock at night. It's so dull and overcast. And
it was a nice morning as we got up, but it certainly changed quickly.
Here's a look at what is happening in the Eastern Conference. As you see, Hamilton has but 1 game left. That will be against Ottawa next Friday night. Toronto, with a victory over Montreal tomorrow, could leapfrog into first place by 1 point, and they would have 1 game left. That would be back at the Big O next weekend. Well, in the Western Conference, though, let's take a look, and you see how close it is. Calgary has finished their schedule. Winnipeg, as you see, have played but 16 games. They play this weekend against BC, and then next weekend they wrap it up. And BC also has played 16 games, so Calgary knows they've made the playoffs. It's a matter of where will they finish.
Wow, what a great race in the Western Conference. And in the East, it's as simple as this for Toronto. If they win back-to-back games against Montreal, they finish first regardless of what the Tiger Cats do.
Well, what are we going to have, an onside kick here?
Well, they brought Greg Marshall and Lloyd Lewis in, some defensive players, and
this is going to be right out of the high school playbook, I would think. No, it's a pretty good punt. To what end, I wonder? I'll tell you who was first down. Tom Burgess, the quarterback, to make the tackle. Well, they say that, you know, you always find something new in sport, and I did. On first down, they punted with 7 seconds left on the clock, and so we go to halftime with the Edmonton Eskimos out in front of the Ottawa Rough Riders, 6-4.
G'day. Always wanted to see Canada. The wildlife, the sport, the scenery. But there was one thing missing for me. Now it's here, so am I. Foster's Lager. Australia's ace of parity. Ripper.
Bit Foster's, Pete.
And that must be the call of the wild.
Foster's, Australian for beer. Now brewed here.
country.
Spread our wings across the prairies.
From Ontario,
Flying high, we do our best.
across the prairies and mountains,
We're Pacific Western Airlines.
all the way to Vancouver.
Spread our wings across the west.
Sean Connery is James Bond, Agent 007, in Never Say Never Again. CTV's Sunday movie, tomorrow.
Darling O'Keefe Sports, the CFL this week. Hello again, everybody. We only have one game to look back on this afternoon, an all-Western matchup last night. The playoff-bound Calgary Stampeders were playing host to the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Almost 25,000 were on hand for Halloween night at McMahon Stadium, ready for a party, and their Stampeders did not disappoint. First quarter, Larry Hogue intercepts Bernard Quarles. He knows which way to go now and runs the ball back inside the Saskatchewan 15. That leads to a very quick Calgary touchdown just over 3 minutes into the ball game. Rick Johnson keeps it himself. It is 7-0. The Stampeders special teams get into the act too. Richie Hall with a quick spurt finds the opening on the punt return. It is only the punter, Mike McTagg, who can prevent the touchdown. But the Stampeders go on to score anyway. Scrimmaging the ball at the Saskatchewan 21-yard line. Johnson looking up the middle for speedster Emmanuel Tolbert. It is 19-3 at the half. And Johnson shows his mettle here in the second half. Backed up all the way to the 50. He has to tuck it in and scampers downfield for a 20-yard gain. That sets up yet another major score. From the 3-yard line, Johnson looks right, then left. Finally, Marshall Toner works himself free. It is 26-4. And in the final quarter of this game, it is the defense that sets up yet another touchdown. They swarm over Quarles. He loses the football. Calgary recovers the ball at the Rough Rider 12-yard line. Number 9, Jeff Tedford gets his turn at quarterback. He wants Emmanuel Tolbert, looks into the end zone and delivers. Tolbert's second touchdown of the ball game. It's a 36-4 final. The Stampeders finish the regular season 11-7. And looking ahead on the CFL slate, 2 games tomorrow afternoon. One you can watch here on CTV. Toronto Argonauts will try to reclaim first place in the East as they play host to the Alouettes, while later tomorrow, it's the BC Lions in Winnipeg. Next week, 3 games on CTV. The Friday nighter has the Ottawa Rough Riders and Hamilton Tiger Cats at Ivor Wynne. On Saturday, it's Winnipeg at BC, Saskatchewan at Edmonton on Sunday. This is the CFL on CTV. Halftime continues in a moment.
I've really come to depend on the superior sanding powers of Sandplate, the great new sanding tool from Sandvik. Sandplate is made of hardened steel, so it sands easier, quicker, and lasts 100 times longer than regular sandpaper, which means Sandplate can be used over and over and over. So why, with all the high technology on your planet, do some of you still use sandpaper?
Sandplate is available at these participating stores.
Overnight, all over Canada. Anywhere you want it to go, just hand it to Gelco. Gelco Express, overnight or sooner, you've got to hand it to Gelco. Gelco Express.
Rick Hansen's Heart of a Dragon, a CTV documentary special, Monday, November 3rd.
This is the CTV Television Network. Check 6 first tomorrow morning at 10:30 for CFL action. Montreal versus Toronto.
Each week, the CFL's most outstanding players in the offensive, defensive, and lineman categories are recognized as Pacific Western Airlines Stars of the Week. Linebacker Frank Robinson, number 43 of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, was selected Defensive Star. His relentless pursuit produced 2 sacks and 7 tackles as the Tabbies beat Toronto 20-10 to take over first place in the East. Winnipeg quarterback John Huffnagel earned his second Offensive Star of 86. Number 12 piloted the Bombers to a 42-20 victory over Edmonton, completing 22 passes for 420 yards and engineering close to 600 yards in total offense. The subject of today's CTV profile is lineman star Chris Walby. Number 63 of the Bombers also won his second star of 86, showing surprising speed and agility for a 6'7" offensive tackle.
It's a funny thing because being offensive lineman, you don't get a lot of recognition. So when you're selected individually out, it's something that you really take a lot of pride in, but you also realize that you can't win it without everybody else playing well, because if your O-line doesn't play well, they look at the overall line. And if you're not getting the production from the quarterback or the running back, then they're not going to pick you. So overall, this is a reflection of the whole line's play. So
we enjoy being recognized, as I'm sure everybody does, and especially at the offensive line position, because for the most part it's an anonymous type of thankless job in a lot of respects. But I'm happy for Chris. This is his second one this season, and it's very well deserved, I think.
Well, I think Chris, as well as all the offensive linemen, have had a good year. And as John said, adjusting to different types of quarterbacks, I think a year. And he played this last ball game with a very badly sprained ankle and did a heck of a job.
Oh, they played extremely well throughout the year, especially the fact that they have more or less two different types of quarterbacks playing. When Tom got hurt, more of a drop-back passer, not as much of a scrambler as Tom, and they had to adjust to my playing and my style of playing, and I think they've done quite an excellent job.
Our offensive linemen, interior and I think exterior, as far as the tackles, do a lot of sweeps, pulls. So I think with the scheme we have to be mobile.
While mobile on the field, Chris's roots are very firmly planted in his native city of Winnipeg. Playing in front of lifelong friends adds a special incentive.
I think it is a big deal. I think that it can work both ways. One, it's great because you know a lot of people, but two, also it's adversely, there's a lot of pressure on you because you see them all the time, and your best friends can be your best critics. So you always have to, or your wife. When you come home, we have to go to the game, and sometimes you don't grade out so well. So I think it can work both ways for you.
The older boy is Brandon. He was born in January '85, and he's just wild like his dad. And this one's Clayton. He was just born in July, and he's quiet and reserved like his mother.
The Stars of the Week profile has been brought to you by Pacific Western Airlines, who bring you the Grey Cup 100 contest again this year. This is the CFL on CTV.
Quality above all. When the occasion calls for someplace special, the choice is simple. The Dutch Latch restaurant on the Malahat Drive. The Dutch Latch, a dining experience truly unique to Vancouver Island. A scenic adventure where the view is matched only by the menu. Elegant gourmet entrees, mouth-watering seafood, creamy, seductive desserts. Vancouver Island dining as it should be. For something special, the choice is simple. The Dutch Latch restaurant on the Malahat Drive.
Here's Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. 1, 2, 3. Only real milk, chocolate, and cream and peanut butter. That's the taste of Reese's. What could be better? Two great tastes, and they come in threes. Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Oh, oh, two winning tasting treats. The original Peanut Butter Cup. Oh, oh, good as can be. To taste good as can be.
For many years, the Canadian Football League has provided telecast time so that our players can talk about the work done across Canada by United Way agencies. Many CFL players have participated because they know that United Ways and Sontreds solve problems for people in their own communities. And it's people who make the difference. United Way volunteers and United Way contributors. Thanks to you, it works. For all of us.
Lansdowne Park, it is halftime. The Ottawa Rough Riders playing host to the Edmonton Eskimos. Today's Ask the Commissioner question comes from Edmonton, Alberta. Eric James Bache is really getting personal this time with Doug Mitchell. Here's the question. What does your job as commissioner of the CFL involve? How much power do you have to change rules, fine players, etc., in running the league? So, what do you do? You're the commissioner. What do you do for a living?
Well, I think a large part of it, Dan, is administration of contracts, negotiation of television rights, setting up a marketing strategy, implementing marketing strategy for the league, the overall administration and operation of the games, the administration of the officials and on-game or on-field officials. So basically, I'd say that it's the overall operation of the league comes back into my jurisdiction.
There are different power structures in all the major sports, baseball, hockey, football. You're pretty familiar with what the Rosells and the Uberoths and so forth, what they do and what their power is like. Are you happy with the way your system works?
Well, I think very much so. I've been around other leagues, as you know, before I joined the Canadian Football League and are aware of the statutory powers that they have. And I think a fair amount of it has to do with the individual, what kind of a person you are and how you are seen by the individual team members. So I'm quite happy with the situation we have and the power that the commissioner has in the Canadian Football League.
What's the relationship like between the commissioner's office and the team owners?
I think it's very positive. What we've done in the last couple of years, new policies that we've brought in, changes that we've made, I think have been greeted basically with total endorsement by the team owners.
Doug Mitchell, the commissioner of the Canadian Football League. If you would like to ask the commissioner a question, here's the address to which you can write, Bay Street in Toronto. Don't forget the postal code.
And I don't think there's any question that the commissioner showed his power this past week with the suspension of Hec Potier for his possession of illegal drugs. 237 yards by the Edmonton Eskimos, 159 by Ottawa. That was really reversed in the first quarter. The Eskimos lead at 6-4, and as they used to say in showbiz, who'd have ever thunk it? I mean, I thought that Edmonton would have this one home and cooled out by halftime.
Well, offensively, you know, you saw the yardage 237, which is a pretty good half, but I think there were a couple of key defensive plays for the Ottawa Rough Riders that really told the story in the first half, and they were two fumble recoveries. Here on a short yardage situation, number 83, Chris Johnson, gets the football, but Michel Bourgeau, number 83, gets excellent penetration. Will Lewis, number 21, with the hit. Greg Marshall finally makes the fumble recovery, but that was early in the game, and Edmonton was driving, and that was one drive that was thwarted.
Well, here's a look at Matt Dunnigan, and if there's anybody much better than he is, I don't know. But the thing is this, when you complete passes, you have to hang on to the football, too.
And once again, it's number 21, Will Lewis, in his debut with the Ottawa Rough Riders. He causes the hit on Chris Skinner, his second fumble of the game, and Jerome Erdman's second fumble recovery of the game. So what we thought might become a blowout certainly hasn't materialized because of the good key plays by the Ottawa defense.
All right, look in your crystal ball right now and tell me what's going to happen the next 30 minutes. I mean, will the Eskimos be pumped up and say, hey, this is probably as poor as we played all season?
Well, I don't think they've played that poorly. You know, 237 yards of offense in one half is a pretty darn good game. So I think what Edmonton has to say to themselves at halftime, let's just keep doing the same things we've done. We're going to get a few breaks. Let's hang on to the football, and maybe we'll get some breaks in the second half and score some points.
All right, let's go to Dan Matheson down on the sidelines.
Thanks very much, Pat. I got Tom Dixon with me right now. We've had a running conversation on the sidelines throughout this game. Maybe with your unique perspective, we can talk a little bit about the atmosphere in this ball club. It doesn't look like the intensity was there coming in.
Well, maybe not right now. You know, we regrouped at halftime. We're going to go out there and hopefully play a little more intensity. If we do that, you know, we'll come out here with 2 points.
Have you seen this team make as many errors on offense before this season?
No, I haven't. I can't really explain it. There's really no explanation for it. It's really unnecessary. So hopefully we can correct it and get a few more points this half.
What happened with the coaching staff? How did they address the club in the locker room?
Well, they just came in and just told us to play our own game, not to worry about it. Maybe the boys are pressing because, you know, first place is on the line. But other than that, they just didn't change anything other than usual.
The offensive line juggling isn't weighing on this team, is it?
I don't think so, no, because Leo's filled in well, and Kurt Chapman's made a couple great blocks out there, and he's holding his own. You can't, you know, it's tough to say, you know, it's tough to replace Hector Pache, so we'll find out this half.
What's the pressure like lining up those field goals? We've had a bunch of missed ones. We had a blocked one. We've had hitting the crossbar. Weird game today.
Oh, it is. It's a kicker's nightmare, I guess you want to call it.
Tom, thank you. Best of luck.
All right.
Tom Dixon, kicker for the Edmonton Eskimos. Let's go back upstairs now to Pat Marsden.
Well, here's what's coming up next week. Ottawa against Hamilton Friday night. We'll have it for you on CTV. Winnipeg against BC. That could be one of the biggest games of the year. You'll see that one on CTV next Saturday at 10 o'clock. And Saskatchewan versus Edmonton. We'll all be out there to visit one of our favorite cities. Stephen Jones from his 12-yard line with a burst of speed. Well, we told you in the first half what this guy can do. I mean, he's got unbelievable jets. He crosses midfield and is finally forced out at the 48-yard line of the Rough Riders by Dennis Clay. But this is what the Eskimos were hoping for.
Well, he had a great run back in the first half, and only a super tackle by Lloyd Lewis saved that one. This time, they get to see him, and he's got the great speed. I always love watching the kickers to make the tackle. Look at Dean Dorsey. But what a great way to start the third quarter. They're in Ottawa territory, and once again, Matt Dunnigan in the ballgame at the controls.
Dunnigan has gone all the way at quarterback. We have not seen Damon Allen. And Milson Jones with a good burst of speed. Boy, he gets through that line of scrimmage in a hurry. He's all the way down to the 35-yard line before Will Lewis, the newcomer that Leaf was mentioning in our halftime highlights, and Calvin Lovell, number 18, are there to finally bring him down.
Well, Milson Jones averages 4.7 yards per carry every time he touches that football, and I suspect you might see the Edmonton Eskimos try and wear down that front seven of the Ottawa Rough Riders here in the second half. The weather has turned horrible. It's pouring rain, and the Edmonton is second in the Canadian football in rushing, so you might look for that to materialize.
Lloyd Lewis has left the ball game, number 76. And coming in is Michel Bourgeot, number 83. Milson Jones picked up 15 yards on that carry to give the Eskimos a first down at the 33-yard line. They've only picked up 54 yards rushing tonight, which is low for an Eskimo club. Dunnigan gets down, but not before he picks up very close to another first down. Henry Taylor, number 42, was there to finally make the stop for Ottawa. You hate to see a great quarterback like Dunnigan taking these kind of chances, but that's the way he plays the game.
Well, that offensive line forms a perfect pocket for Matt Dunnigan, and of course, when that happens and no receivers open, he's able to step up and run with the football, and he picks up excellent yardage. It's only 2nd and 1, so once again, that good first down production.
We're just underway here in the second half of a 6-4 ball game that Edmonton leads, but threatening to add to their total right now. Dunnigan keeps it himself. Well, it's going to be close, but the signal comes immediately from referee Bob Bryan that it is a first down.
Pat, we talked earlier about the intensity level with the Edmonton Eskimos, and there's been quite a change between the first half and this half. When they came out here to begin the game, everyone was loose, relaxed, laughing, and joking. But now they're all along the sidelines. They're looking with intensity. It looks like they're all pumped up now.
Well, I think your observation is quite correct, Dan, and I think that's the way it should be. I mean, this is an extremely important game for these Eskimos, because if they don't win this one, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers do win, they'd be tied with a game to go. 6-4. Edmonton leads Ottawa. We'll be back in a moment.
Mercury Tracer. We put more in so you get more out of life.
Hey, Tracer!
With a tough 1.6-liter overhead cam engine and front-wheel drive for lots of power and traction. A classy little car that's sporty outside and loaded on the inside. With great fuel economy, power brakes, and 4-wheel independent suspension.
Hey, Tracer!
Mercury Tracer, the extraordinary small car. So complete, all it needs is you.
Coming at you. Premium quality, fully matured. So get moving to that real beer taste.
Just want to remind you that though it's a miserable day here in Ottawa, today at 4:30 and tomorrow at 4:30, we'll brighten up your day with the 1986 edition of Skate Canada as CTV continues its 25-year figure skating tradition with the exclusive coverage of this magnificent event from Regina, Saskatchewan. Look for it today at 4:30 and tonight at 7 and tomorrow at 4:30.
This guy looks like he's having fun, doesn't he?
He must have BO. There wasn't one person sitting around him. Matt Dunnigan, with flags down all over the field, is inside the 14-yard line. Dunnigan would be short of the first down, but let's see, he's going to be well short now because the penalty is going to be against the Eskimos. It's a holding penalty against the Eskimos.
And I could read lips. Number 55, the right guard, Kurt Chapman. It's called.
Referee Bobby Bryan is probably afraid to turn on his electric microphone in case he goes up like one of those things they use on the 24th gas skyrocket. 1st and 20. Dunnigan's pass. Oh, what a catch by Rick House. House makes the diving catch inside the 20 at the 18. Now, he doesn't pick up the first down, but he gets 14 of those 20 yards to bring up a 2nd and 6.
Well, that's what you try and do. You want to get at least half of it back on first down, and then, of course, you're in good shape to try and pick it up on 2nd down. But a good throw by Dunnigan, and Rick House had just made his break when the ball arrived, and he really made a sensational catch.
His 5th catch of the afternoon for a total of 95 yards, so that gives him 49 receptions on the season. That was a quarterback draw that Lloyd Lewis would not allow to develop. There was no question that Matt was going to take his one step and then just headed right up the field, but Lloyd Lewis was there to make the stop.
You know, it was just a great call by Matt Dunnigan. He read the blitz coming. The middle safety was out. The middle linebacker had moved out. It was a super call. The only thing is Lloyd Lewis made even a better play because had he not made the tackle, Matt Dunnigan might have waltzed into the end zone. Well, Lloyd Lewis has had a pretty good game today.
Oh, yeah, and I think he's played as well as anybody in that defensive alignment for Ottawa all season long.
Well, last year he was their MVP nominee in the Shenleys and their defensive player nominee for the Shenleys.
24-yard field goal try by Tom Dixon is good. And so with 11 minutes and 39 seconds left to play in this third quarter, the Eskimo lead is now 5 points. Edmonton 9, Ottawa 4. We'll be back in a moment.
There's only one Formula One Grand Prix race run in this country. This year, the car that won it was powered by Renault. I mention this because we've just brought some of that competitive thinking to the street. Renault GTA. I consider it another Renault victory.
Well, this is a fun time of the year in Canada. The playoffs, East and West, are upcoming. And here on CTV, we'll have the opening game of the two-game Eastern Final for you on Sunday, November the 16th. And the final game of the Western Conference playoffs on Sunday, November the 23rd. And then all the excitement of the Grey Cup will come to you here on CTV. As Tom Dixon's kickoff will be handled by Brad Califf at his 24-yard line. Califf has another good return, gets it over the 45 to about the 48-yard line, where Craig Schaefer makes the tackle for the Eskimos.
Well, you don't need much of a seam for these super kick returners in the Canadian Football League to have a big return, and that time a little crack there, and Craig Schaefer, number 43, really does make an excellent tackle. But good field position once again as Tom Burgess will start the second half of the Ottawa Rough Riders at quarterback.
I want to talk about the blackout of the Eastern Final. I'll get to that right after this play. As Mark Lewis comes back to the football, the Eskimos signaling that he didn't make the catch, but in fact he did up at the 54-yard line. Had an interesting conversation with the president of the Ottawa Rough Riders, Terry Kilty, yesterday, and I asked him his opinion of the blackout in Southern Ontario of that Hamilton-Toronto series. And he said, listen, nobody has approached anybody to lift the blackout. He said, we will entertain that if somebody, in fact, says, what are you going to do? Are you going to lift the blackout? He said, personally, I would be in favor of lifting it. So, who knows? Maybe something will come of it. As of this moment, nobody in Southern Ontario is going to see the the Hamilton-Toronto Eastern Final Series.
Well, it would be encouraging. A lot of folks would love to see that.
So the Rough Riders with possession at the Edmonton 50-yard line bring up a second down. First down, excuse me, it is a first down.
You got so excited about the blackout.
I know. Well, I am excited because I'd love to see it lifted.
Ah, it's great catch.
Great catch. Number 31 of the Ottawa Rough Riders is Glenn Steele, acquired from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and a guy they want to get into that offense because he's a little fellow who can run, he can catch, and he's finally brought down by Bruce Green.
Well, he's extremely quick and great concentration here as he outfights Danny Bass, the middle linebacker for the football. That's a big play. And, you know, this is the time of the year where they're checking out some guys for next year, and certainly you want to look as good as you can, and Glenn Steele made a great catch.
Ottawa banging on the door once again with a first down at the 26-yard line. Pass is thrown into the middle to Big Jim Reed. Reed drops the football. The Eskimos recover at the 18-yard line. You don't see that happen very often. Jim Reed does not cough up the football, but he did on that occasion, and as a result, the Eskimos have it.
Well, number 38, Bruce Green, really unloaded on Jim Reed when he had caught that screen pass and was off and running. John Manrich, the injured Eskimo, but watch some pretty nifty running by Jim Reed initially here. Jumps over the pile, but number 38, Bruce Green, is really going to come in. He strips the ball loose, and let's see who makes the fumble recovery. It looks like number 24, maybe Phil Jones, who's in the lineup there, but the ball pops loose, and Edmonton Eskimos really dodge a bullet there.
Got an injured Edmonton Eskimo player down on the field at about the 17-yard line. It's John Mandarich, the defensive tackle.
Well, it so often happens when you get 3 or 4 guys diving for a loose ball, the heads collide, meeting for it, and he might have just been knocked a little woozy. Just want to remind you that on Grey Cup weekend, Saturday, Leaf and I will have the replay of last year's Grey Cup final between the BC Lions and the Hamilton Ticats. We'll show you live the Grey Cup parade, and on Sunday, of course, right from the field, way before game time, you'll see our pregame festivities, and everybody who is anybody in football will be interviewed on that show, and then we'll have the game itself here on CTV. Dunnigan floats it up for Jones. There was contact down there, but it was incidental contact. Stephen Jones is very upset about that, but in my view, it was incidental contact. They're both entitled to that part of the field. Absolutely. Will Lewis, number 21, is entitled to his area of the football field. Watch his head. He's looking and trying to locate the football. He's not trying to interfere with Stephen Jones, and that's an excellent play. Well, you don't have to call interference there because it isn't. Head coach Tom Dimitrov. Will he be the head coach next year? He doesn't know. General manager Don Holtby doesn't know. But Matt Dunnigan is looking for a first down here, and he'll get it at the 30-yard line if that's where they spot the ball. Boy, he is just a reckless runner with the football there, and I'm sure Jackie Parker cringes every time he likes to take on those linemen. Henry Taylor, the middle linebacker, 42, finally makes the stop. Boy, it cost him a few weeks ago in that big game against the Calgary Stampeders. In a play similar to that, he knocked himself out, and Damon Allen had to come in. But that's the kind of competitor Matt Dunnigan is. He's a gritty, gutsy kind of performer, and if there's a chance to get an extra few yards, he'll do it. And let's give Ottawa lots of credit here this afternoon. They've hung in there. They're only trailing by 5 points, 9-4. They don't have much of an offense, so they can't capitalize on opportunities. But right now, their defense has let them down because Milson Jones ran through about 3 or 4 different tacklers and gets the ball all the way down to the Ottawa 48-yard line. Mike McIntyre finally makes the stop. Well, they had the blitz coming with Jerome Erdman, the weak safety, coming on a safety blitz. They beat the blitz, and Milson Jones, with a great individual effort, gets them into Ottawa territory. 32 yards the run by Milson Jones. Well, he broke the tackle of Henry Taylor, who Pat's been on a little bit today, and was able to get down the sidelines for some big yardage. Boy, that ball was played nicely by Calvin Lovall.
And had he not been that close to the sidelines, he might well have been able to make the interception. The ball was intended for Stephen Jones, but Lovell played it super.
Oh, and as Matt Gunnigan rolled out, what a block by number 67, Rod Conniff. We can't see it, of course. Calvin Lovell, great timing to break up that pass play intended for Stephen Jones, but Rod Conniff just leveled Greg Marshall, number 66, put him right to his knees, and shows you the strength of Conniff.
It's 2nd and 10 for the Eskimos. As Dunnigan looks, but Brian Kelly was not set at all to receive the pass, and as a matter of fact, Darrell Hall nearly made a one-handed interception.
Well, not a good throw by Matt Dunnigan there. Darrell Hall's had a good game. Well, there's a number of guys on defense for Ottawa that have played well. Darrell Hall is one of them. Let's watch Brian Kelly now, maybe see what happens. He makes a good, solid break on this wet turf, and that ball was just simply thrown behind him and over him.
Mark Lewis and Clorindo Grilly are back to receive this punt from Tom Dixon. We only had 5 punts here this afternoon. You'd think we were in for a high-scoring game, but it's only 9-4. As Grilly had the ball pop up and was able to gather it back in at his own 20-yard line. So with 6:55 left to play in this third quarter, Edmonton is hanging on to a 9-4 lead. We'll be back in just a moment.
Don't you want to go? Now's the time. You're feeling the heat. Moving to the beat. Get moving to the highlight. Miller Highlight. You're moving so good. It's your turn now, so take it. Get moving to the highlight. Miller Highlight. Get moving to the highlight.
Miller Highlight, cold and clear. Now in a twist cap.
North Pole above, North Pole above. Up periscope.
Wherever you go in the snow and ice, Sorels have already been there. Sorels by Kaufman, the boots that change the footprint of winter. With waterproof bottoms, triple stitched to premium leather uppers, thick, warm wool felt liners. Only a Sorel is made like a Sorel. Wherever winter takes you, we've been there.
The supporters of the Ottawa Rough Riders have been longtime supporters. Those two ladies, I'm sure, have been coming for years. My mother, and I'm not allowed to say her age, she'd kill me, has been a season ticket holder here at Lansdowne Park for years and years. Rain, snow, sleet. And she'd be here today cheering the Riders on. They're going to need some cheering, I suspect, between now and the end, as they're trailing by 5, and they don't want to make any mistakes here. This is Robert Reed. And Reed fights his way out to about the 24 for a pickup of about 3 yards. Stu Hill, number 36, made the stop for Edmonton.
Well, here's Danny Bass. Let's have a look at him. He's coming into this game 103 tackles, and just to put that in perspective, the next guy on the Eskimos with that amount of tackles is Craig Schaefer with 68, so you can see how active Danny Bass has been this year.
Make it 2nd down and 7 for Ottawa. Burgess fires, no good. Looking for Mark Lewis, I believe, or was it Robert Reed coming across?
That looked like Mark Lewis. He was trying to get in there. He was working against Greg Harding, but no way that could be complete. We're going to have a good close look at Mark Lewis. He's a quick, shifty little receiver, only 5'9", played in the United States Football League for a while. Good push-off there on Greg Harding, but the ball was just underthrown.
So Ken Clark is on the field to punt. High pass from center, but he hauls it down and kicks the ball end over end. Caught on the dead run by Tom Richards. Oh, this is a great return. Richards is into Ottawa territory at the 47-yard line, and the Eskimos are going to have excellent field position. Jim Reed was there to bring him down for Ottawa. The next home game for the Edmonton Eskimos next Sunday afternoon, 2 o'clock local time. The Saskatchewan Roughriders will be in town. It may mean first place, or by then the Eskimos may have wrapped up first place, but whatever, we'll be there to bring you that contest here on CTV. Blacked out, of course, in Edmonton. The screen pass was intended for Milson Jones. The play was never able to develop the way that Dunnigan had hoped.
Well, of course, you want to invite those defensive linemen to get the good penetration and then just dump the ball over top of them. But that time they were in so quickly, Dunnigan really had no chance to make a good pass to Milson Jones.
So with 5 minutes and 30 seconds left to play in this third quarter, it is still Edmonton 9, Ottawa 4. And the rain continues to fall at Lansdowne Park. Dunnigan, Rick House went the other way. He threw it inside, and House broke it to the outside. It was very nearly picked off by Dennis Clay and Mike McIntyre. They collided.
Well, it's tough sometimes to determine what happens between quarterback and receiver, but of course Matt Dunnigan read blitz. Middle linebacker Henry Taylor was coming right up the pike in his face. So was Lloyd Lewis, and maybe he expected Rick House to see the blitz and go into that vacated area. He elected to go to the corner, and of course the ball was incomplete. Sometimes teams have a hot package, and you know the inside receiver, if you see the middle linebacker blitz, well, you just take it right into the middle automatically, and you can get the ball and make an easy completion, but a misread.
So Clorindo Grilly and Mark Lewis are back, but this is a fake, and the pass is caught. With the completion of that pass and an Eskimo first down, so I guess what's good for the goose is good for the gander. The Ottawa Rough Riders have gambled a number of times and been successful. The Eskimos come up with it now, and they continue this drive.
Well, Dan Kearns, number 95, it's certainly not the prettiest pass you'll ever see, but he completes it nevertheless to Ron Howard, and a little trickery brings the first down for them.
I really think the Eskimos needed a little something like that to kind of get a move on here.
It looked like he was throwing a brick there or something.
Chris Skinner, the ball carrier, gets to the 25, which will be a pickup of 2 or 3 before Henry Taylor made the stop.
Pat, we've talked about the Eskimos' lack of offense tonight, and Leo Blanchard, the man who's on the hot spot, now has to play tackle for Hec Pache, says he's having a little trouble with that position. He's only played 1 game in his pro career there. That was 2 years ago. He still feels very uncomfortable, and he and his mates are coming off and discussing blocking assignments after every series.
Well, it's not surprising. You know, you go from right guard to left tackle, your angles are completely different.
Tom Richards makes the catch in front of Dennis Clay, and he'll have the first down at about the 15-yard line.
Well, the Edmonton Eskimos are really getting some good depth with their Canadian talent. They've got Tom Richards, who's getting a chance to play a little bit here now in the second half. He's backing up really Rick House and Marco Sinkar, so they've got some good Canadian talent on that team. Marco Sinkar now coming into the ball game.
Strange to believe the Eskimos have not scored a touchdown here this afternoon. But they're in a position to wipe that slate clean right now because it's first down from the Ottawa 15. Dunnigan dops it off to Milson Jones. Touchdown, Jones. There is a penalty marker back of the line of scrimmage. But it may well be against the Ottawa Rough Riders. It is. It would have been a rough play call against Henry Taylor on Matt Dunnigan. The touchdown will stand by Milson Jones, and the Eskimos get it into the end zone.
Well, Milson Jones earlier in this third quarter made a nice catch and run, and here once again he makes the catch, and we told you he's averaging over 9 yards every time he touches the football through the air, and that's an easy scamper for him into the end zone, and Edmonton's first major of this ballgame.
Major foul, roughing the passer, number 42 Ottawa will be applied on the kickoff.
So Milson Jones gets the touchdown. The Eskimos are out in front 15-4 with the point after to come. The Riders are going to find themselves in a hole because that penalty is going to be applied on the kickoff.
They get an extra 15 yards, but well, it was almost inevitable that Edmonton was driving and getting some good offensive production. Almost inevitable that they would finally end up with a touchdown.
Well, Ottawa had an awful lot of chances in the first half. They could not capitalize for any more than the 4 points that you see right now. And now they have their work cut out for them because the Eskimos are wildly explosive in that fourth quarter.
Well, a good read by Matt Dunnigan. I think initially he wanted to go deep on the post pattern of Brian Kelly, but good coverage by Darryl Hall dictated that you dump the ball off, and why not? Milson Jones is exciting when he catches that football, and pretty easy romp for him into the end zone.
So Dixon's kickoff will come from the 50-yard line. Matt Dunnigan this afternoon has completed 18 of 31 for 294 yards. to 7 different receivers.
You know, that's a good day. The game doesn't seem like it's been a great day for Matt Dunnigan, but boy, the numbers really bear his performance out, that it's been a good one.
And that's probably why he's still in there, and Damon Allen has not seen the playing surface yet. Brad Caleb at his 9-yard line. Ooh, was he rocked. Down quickly was John Mandarich, number 75. And he semi-clotheslined him at about the 12-yard line.
Yeah, only a 4-yard return because of the great effort of John Mandarich. You know, he's been the first guy down on every kickoff today, and finally it paid off because he makes a tremendous hit on Brad Caleb. That's just arm strength right there. He just clotheslines him right in the chest. Nothing illegal about that, just a great effort.
This could be right now blow open time if Ottawa doesn't move the football. Burgess is going to keep it himself, and he's forced out as he gets to about the 15-yard line. He'll have a pickup of about 3, forced out by Tom Tuanay.
Well, he was going for the big play to Mark Lewis on a post corner pattern, and you know, when you try and get the big play deep, you're very vulnerable if they're in his zone coverage. That time they were. No chance to get it in. He has to run with it and picks up very little yardage. Yeah, I think you really hit it on the head. This is a very critical time. It's 16-4 now. Edmonton's really taking control of this game, and if Ottawa's going to try and get themselves back into it, they got to do something quickly.
Burgess' pass is caught. A fine reception by Brad Caleb. He gets up and he runs it for the first down to the 27-yard line. Ron Howard was there to make sure he didn't go any further, but it's a pickup of 12 in a critical second down situation.
Good pass pattern by Brad Caleb, and you know, I think a pretty good throw by Tom Burgess. He put it in a spot where only the receiver could make the catch, and Brad Caleb gets up off the ground a few extra yards, and boy, that was a big first down. They had to get themselves out of a hole.
Florindo Grilly with the pass reception out to the 41-yard line. It's another Ottawa first down. 13 yards the pickup.
Well, this is what you look for in an offense. You know, can they come back? Well, back-to-back first downs for the Riders, and Florindo Grilly runs an excellent pass pattern, finds the soft spot in the zone, stays in that area until he catches the pass, and that's a good offensive play.
He was finally brought down by Phil Jones, number 24, but it is a first down. Rough Riders, the ball at their 41. Back-to-back first downs, moving it out from their 12-yard line after that kickoff. Play action fake. Burgess delivers. Then he was knocked down. We're going to have a pass interference call. And it'll be another Ottawa first down. Jeffrey George, number 29, likely the culprit.
Well, he inadvertently tripped Brad Caleb, but of course you have to call that. And once again, now their first down in succession. Danny Bass tries to get a knock on Brad Caleb, but watch the feet get tangled up right here, and there's no question about that.
The feet and then the little left hand on the back, which helped them to the surface, too.
Well, Ottawa has moved it out of their own territory nicely.
A minute 15 left to play in the third quarter. You see the penalties as they stand to this point in the ball game. Robert Reed with the catch, and Reed is into Edmonton territory at the 52-yard line before Bruce Green, number 38, was there to bring him down.
Well, that's typical run and shoot offense right there, where you swing the back and run the wide receiver on a quick post pattern. If they drop back to cover the post, you dump it to the running back. If they come up to cover the back, you throw the post. So Tom Burgess makes a good read, and that's nice play on first down.
Picks up about 6 yards, so make it 2nd and 4. Ball is at the Edmonton 51.5-yard line. Jim Reed, the fullback, gets to about the 48-yard line. He'll be very close to the first down marker. Stu Hill, number 36, was there to make the stop for the Eskimos.
I think he's going to come up about a half a yard short. There'll be no question what Tom Dimitrov will do here. Very easy decision for him to make, trailing by 12 points.
With 20 seconds left to play in the third quarter, they bring the sticks out. And as Leaf pointed out, they come up just a little bit short.
Yeah, you know, that's almost a full yard.
Gentlemen, we were were talking about the Edmonton offense coming back to life in the second half. Milson Jones says it's the same old story. It's tougher to go east than west. He says that if he was at home right now, all he'd be thinking about is eating lunch, not playing football.
Well, some of us think about eating lunch constantly. Doesn't matter what the time is. It's a first down for the Rough Riders. As Tom Burgess, the quarterback, picked it up himself, and the ball is now spotted at the 46-yard line of the Eskimos.
Their fourth first down and consecutively here, and there you see the first down story. Edmonton, you know, like everybody kind of feels that they've struggled today. Offensively, they really haven't struggled. They just haven't had the points to show for it.
Burgess is hit from behind just as he released the football by Tom Tuanay. So he had no chance for the completion as the third quarter comes to an end. With the Edmonton Eskimos out in front of the Ottawa Rough Riders 16-4, we'll return with the fourth quarter in a moment.
Oh, boy, it's cold. Better find a Radio Shack store quick. Look at all the toys. Hi, everybody. No wonder they call Radio Shack the technology store. Boy, what a friendly bunch. This Radio Shack store is a great place to find all kinds of electronic friends, and just in time for Christmas. Christmas. I'm really gonna miss my family. Junior!
Sometimes just getting to the fun can be half the fun, especially if you own a Toyota 4x4 like the Extra Cab SR5 or 4Runner. Both designed to get you there in style, with the kind of reliability and durability that's made Toyota the one to beat for over 20 years. And both designed to make getting there half the fun. Solid choice, Toyota 4x4s.
Who could ask for anything more? Toyota.
If you're a young Canadian thinking about where you're going, you're beginning to see the obstacles. The high cost of university, the difficulty of learning a high-tech trade. Think about the Canadian Armed Forces. We need you. We'll help you get a degree or learn a skill and guarantee you a job. Visit a recruiting center and talk to us. It's your choice, your future. The Canadian Armed Forces.
The Edmonton Eskimos had 62 sacks coming into this ball game. They only have one so far. That's how many Ottawa has as well. As the screen is set up to Jim Reed, but he had absolutely no chance to do anything with it because Danny Bass read it so well and was right on him the moment that he caught the ball.
Well, that's why he's the leading tackler on that team, and there's Damon Allen, number 9, who's warming up on the sidelines. Jackie Parker told you at the beginning that he considers his club to have a 2-quarterbacking system. They're both starters, so maybe we will see him in the fourth quarter. There, you see what I say. 372 yards. You know, they've been able to move the football. They just haven't had the points to show for it.
12 of 26 is Tom Burgess in passing for 153 yards. 18 of 31 is Matt Dunnigan for 294 yards. And Ottawa's going to go for it. It was the little Utah shovel to Robert Reed, and with his second effort, he came very close, but does not appear to have the first down.
You know, I think he's going to be a little short, but I really believe enough's enough. You know, 3rd and 10, you've got a chance to punt and maybe get Edmonton deep in their own territory. They only trail by 12 points. I mean, I think to needlessly give up the football at this stage is wrong. You know, I know you've got nothing to lose and all that stuff, but I think, you know, logically, you've got to try and play the game a little straighter than that.
Let's ask Bobby Layden how many
Now they picked it up, so, you know.
How many punts by Ken Clark? Clark has only punted 3 times for a club that has managed but 4 points. But they gamble and they pick it up.
Well, okay, I mean, I stand corrected on that, but he made a heck of an effort to pick up the first down, Robert Reed did, but I don't know.
Larry Ruck appeared to have them all wrapped up at the line of scrimmage, but then it was the good second effort by Reed, and Ottawa will continue this drive that started, you'll recall, back at their 12-yard line. Right now they have the ball at the 37. It's a 16-4 ball game with 14:26 left to play.
You know what I mean when I said that, though, about all these
sure.
third-down gambles? You know, like, they were very fortunate to make that one. And 12 points is not a great deal to try and overcome. Boy, it's a miserable day. You see the fans that are hanging in here at Lansdowne Park, but the rains are coming, the winds are blowing, and it's not getting any warmer.
And Burgess goes down for only the second time in the ball game. Stu Hill gets the sack, his 17th of the year. He just blew in there. Burgess had no chance, really.
Well, he's their leading sacker, and I think that's the first time we've mentioned his name today. He's been very quiet, and his 17th sack of 1986 right there.
The loss is back to the 43-yard line. So make it 2nd and 17 for the Rough Riders. The intended receiver fell down. It was Clorindo Grilly. Looks like he might have pulled a hamstring on that play because he's bent over grabbing the back of his leg. Now is walking off the field. Well, they went on 2nd and 10, or they went on 3rd and 10. Will they go on 3rd and 17?
Well, Ken Clark, as he came into the game, had a little chat with Tom Burgess, number 16, who stays in, of course. One more time at the up back. Mark Lewis, the wide receiver, stays in. Brad Caleb, the inside receiver, stays in. So who knows what may happen.
14,058, the announced attendance here this afternoon. As Clark will punt it. Angles it towards the corner. Good high twisting spiral that bounces into the end zone, and the Eskimos are quite happy about that. And a penalty marker comes down. And Mark Lewis is going to be called for no yards.
He's not on that cover team too often, obviously.
So it's a 16-4 ball game. It remains that. The Eskimos do not give up that point because of the penalty. And we'll be back in a moment.
The West. Big country. Grand ideas. And no one knows the West like Pacific Western Airlines.
We spread our wings across the mountains.
With more flights
We spread our wings across the coast.
to more places in the West than any other airline.
We spread our wings to serve you better.
There's a friendly spirit in the West.
We spread our wings to be your home.
You'll find wherever Pacific Western spreads its wings.
We spread our wings across the prairies. Flying high, we do our best. We're Pacific Western Airlines. We spread our wings across the West.
The no yards penalty was against the Ottawa Rough Riders, but the Eskimos declined it. They said, hey, we'll give you the single point. So it's now a 16-5 ball game. They did that, of course, so that they would get the ball out at the 35. And don't forget, later this afternoon, it's Skate Canada with the wrap-up tomorrow. The give is to Milson Jones inside, and he gets maybe a yard. Rick Hansen arrives in Toronto today or tomorrow, and of course, what a tremendous job he has done. He's passed the 20,000-mile mark in his great campaign to raise funds. And he wheels into Toronto tomorrow. And it's interesting to note that Donnie Matthews, the head coach of the British Columbia Lions, when he won the Coach of the Year, and with it the $5,000, immediately turned around last spring and said, I'm donating this to Rick Hansen. What a tremendous gesture that was by Don Matthews.
Boy, I'll say.
Brian Kelly makes the catch and steps out of bounds after picking up the first down out around the 48-yard line.
Well, you know, we talked about Matt Dunnigan's running abilities today. How about that throw right there on 2nd and 10? That's an out to the wide side of the field of Brian Kelly. Now, they only pick up about 14 yards with that, but I bet you had to throw it 35 yards to complete it. That's a great throw right there.
This night should have happened last night. It's almost eerie here. The rain is falling, and it's dark, and it's misty.
Are you scared?
I'm starting to get that way. Dunnigan had no choice. His receivers were covered. He had absolutely no place to go. Come back, though, Matt.
Yeah, Matt's coming back, and Lloyd Lewis was chasing him. It took out half the Ottawa bench when he was over there.
Alex Troop, who was in the ball game for the Rough Riders, the youngster from Sir Wilfrid Laurier, who was drafted by the Argos a couple of years ago. And then he wasn't invited to camp this year. He sent some film down to the Cincinnati Bengals. They invited him to camp, and he was subsequently cut when they signed all their draft choices.
Sounds like the Dan Faraday story, the former quarterback of U of T. He went down to Cincinnati for a tryout when no one in the CFL was interested.
Look at Dunnigan, though. He's got so much presence. And then looking for Marco Sincar, the ball goes incomplete. But Dunnigan bought all kinds of time, and when he got close to the line of scrimmage, he moved back to make sure that he didn't cross it.
He's my kind of guy as a quarterback. I've mentioned already that we had a chat before the game, and he's such a personable young guy, and the team certainly feels like you've always got a shot with a quarterback like him in the game.
Speaking of quarterbacks, I guess Rick Johnson did it again last night. Threw 2 touchdown passes, ran for another one in that very impressive victory by the Calgary Stampeders. They're 11 of 1986.
Well, how about John Huffnagel, too? He's, of course, taken over from Tom Clements, been twice the PWA Offensive Star of the Week, and tremendous performance against these Edmonton Eskimos last week.
Look at this punt by Dixon after he bobbled the pass from center. This is Mark Lewis trying to get to the outside, and then he cuts it up the middle. Brilliant return by Mark Lewis as he crosses into Edmonton territory at the 53-yard line. Edmonton leads Ottawa 16-5, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Race fans, hot rodders, it's the Canadian Triple Crown of Motorsports this Saturday in BC Place, featuring the big bad battle of the monster trucks. You'll see Monster Mash, Ms. Bigfoot, Skull Bandit, and more. Plus the Wild Hot Rod Truck Bowl Championships. See Jim R. Fun Starflyer taking on the Avenger, the thrills of motocross drag racing, and the King of Suspense, Spanky Spangler's death-defying Leap for Life. Tickets now, CBO outlets, this Saturday, BC Place. It's the wildest show on wheels.
So what's new? Tony Tucker. Barbecue, baby, back ribs. That's what's new. Back rib burgers. So fine. Sizzling steak and seafood too. Dessert delights. Homemade for you.
Well, the only thing better than our chicken
is chicken and ribs. Ah, that's what's new. Tony Tuckers. Yeah.
Well, Tom Dixon makes a good effort to get this punt off. Mishandles the snap. He gets an excellent kick away. But an even better punt return by number 5, Mark Lewis. And all you need is one block sometimes, and that was provided by number 21, Will Lewis. A lot of Lewis is playing here today.
If Leo shows up, we're in trouble.
But that's a great play, and Ottawa is in this game. It's
hard to believe.
Well, they've had their chances, and a great punt return has set them up in Edmonton territory once again.
49-yard punt, a 41-yard return, and now on the draw, Jim Reed picks his way inside the 50, and look at him. He just refuses to go down. Stu Hill had him, and he dragged Stu for about 5 or 6 yards.
Well, we're talking rodeo right here, because Stu Hill just climbs on the old bucking bronco and goes for a ride. Jim Reed, of course, we know him as a straight-on kind of bloody-your-nose type runner, but here a little bit of fancy footwork, and watch 36 Stu Hill. He just jumps on and says, "Ride him, cowboy."
But what an effort, though, by Jim Reed. With 10 minutes and 10 seconds left to play in the fourth quarter, Reed picks up 9 yards to the Edmonton 44-yard line. And again, this is Reed, and he has the first down as he spotted a bit of an opening, and he gets to the 33-yard line. Cliff Toney brought him down on that occasion, but Ottawa, trailing by just 11 points, are on the move.
Well, I'm so happy to see this for Jim Reed. He's been around for 8 years, spent 1 with Hamilton, now 7 with Ottawa. coming into this game, had 47 carries, has had plenty of work today, and it's nice to see because in the past few years, he has not carried the football a great deal, but this year getting a chance to perform. You know, he's averaging over 5 yards per carry on the ground, and if you can get that, that's just tremendous production.
Averaging over 7 this afternoon, 7 carries for a total of 50 yards.
Well, that's great to see. He's been one of the great performers throughout his CFL career.
Ottawa moved. It'll be a procedure penalty against Ottawa's Roger Catalan, number 65, the right tackle.
That's unfortunate. Roger Catalan's had an excellent day. He's been blocking predominantly against Stuart Hill in pass protection. And at 6'5", 285, the 4-year graduate of Boston University, has done an excellent job, but that procedure penalty will cost him 5.
Ottawa has a really good-sized offensive line. Average 6'5", 273 pounds. And they've got a little bit of experience in there. They've been together, or they average 4 years.
Well, the smallest guy is Jerry Dobrovolny. He's 6'6" and 265. Kevin Powell, he's also 265. They are a big group.
Wouldn't it be nice to offer these guys a lift to the ballpark?
Well, you'd have to get the U-Haul out.
1st and 15, Ottawa, after that procedure penalty. And a diving attempt by Mark Lewis goes incomplete.
Well, it would have been a great catch, but, you know, the great ones make those, like a Brian Kelly.
It was a tough catch.
It
There's
was.
no question
He's
about
upset
it.
with himself. He would have liked to have made it, but
didn't.
But didn't make it.
So it's 2nd and 15. Ottawa at the Edmonton 38-yard line. And now under tremendous pressure, Burgess throws looking for Robert Reed, and a penalty marker does come down. And we may well have an interference penalty here.
Well, the official was really late throwing the flag, but there's no question that Bruce Green interfered with Robert Reed, and I think as you hear the response of the fans here at Lansdowne Park, it will be called.
Edmonton defensive forward pass interference, number 38, first down.
Well, Bobby Bryan is certainly still in the game. He gave it the first down.
Yeah, he's excited. Well, you know, this is a big break because you're talking 2nd and about 14, 15 yards, and really a needless penalty for Bruce Green to take because Robert Reed would have had no chance to make that reception, and now Ottawa finds himself with a first down again.
At the Edmonton 36-yard line. On the draw, this is Jim Reed. And Reed is inside the 25 to the 24. It's an Ottawa first down. Phil Jones makes the stop. But there's a lot of time to go in this ball game, and if Ottawa ever sticks it in the end zone, look out.
Well, you know, at 6'3", 230, he is a tough guy to bring down, and he's really been running with some authority today. You know, we haven't had a chance in the past to see him carry the ball that much, but there you see his graphics on the screen, and he's had a heck of a day.
So after the 12-yard pickup, it's first down Ottawa. Burgess could find no one open and then runs into Danny Bass as he was trying to get to the outside at about the 29-yard line. So he'll lose 4 yards.
Danny Bass is one of the best linebackers in the league at reading that quarterback on the rollout and just stringing it along, and then when the quarterback finally decides he has to run with it, he's right there to make the play.
We had mentioned that the Eskimos had not had a whole lot of sacks in this ball game, but they've started to come on a little bit. That will be recorded as a sack, their 3rd of the ball game now.
Originally, Danny Bass came up with the Toronto Argonauts,
yep.
Went to Calgary, now to Edmonton. 7 years he's been in the league from Michigan State.
Burgess' pass is caught by Robert Reed, but about 9 yards short of the first down.
Well, this brings up an interesting situation once again. They got some yardage there, and they're going to be short of the first down, but we'll have to see what they do. They've been doing all kinds of crazy things, but I see Dean Dorsey coming on the field, so it's apparent what their intentions will be.
And it's a good one because it would leave them 8 points short. And it might well bring up a situation that they encountered against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers when on the final play of the game they went for the 2-point conversion to tie it and did not make it. But they have played very well against Winnipeg, as they have done here against the Eskimos this afternoon. The 29-yard field goal try by Dean Dorsey is good. In the 4th quarter, Ottawa's back in it. Edmonton leads 16-8. We'll be back with the kickoff in a moment.
Looks like a snowstorm. You and Timmy better be heading home.
Dad, what are you worried about?
You don't want to be out in that snow with your old car.
The car may be old, but it's got Michelin's.
Michelin's?
Dad, they're really affordable now.
Well, I'm glad to see you take the safety of my grandson seriously.
Daddy, I'm just trying to take the same care you always took of me.
Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires.
Hi, I'm Kelly Armstrong. These are lease return vehicles. To sell them, I had to agree to buy them back from the leasing company. The new models are here, so we've got to get rid of these in a hurry. You can save $1,500 on an Escort, $2,200 on a Tempo, $3,500 on a Taurus. You can pay 3% interest, no payments till next year, and 5-year warranty. Just think about it. If you can see yourself in a next-to-new vehicle, I can save you up to $3,500. Hurry, when they're gone, they're gone.
Dean Dorsey has put the Ottawa Rough Riders right back in the ballgame. You very seldom see a stat like that, 2 out of 5 for Dorsey, but he had 1 block, hit the upright on 2 other ones, and now he's been good on his last 2, and Ottawa is hanging in there, trailing 16-8, and the Eskimos are not going to take a chance on returning a kickoff. They're going to play it from their 35-yard line. They lead it by 8 points. Oh, the catch is made right on the sideline. A fine grab by Stephen Jones at the Ottawa 53-yard line. Will Lewis forced him out. And, boy, you talk about dropping a pass in there. Watch this one.
Well, they had good coverage, too. A rolled-up corner zone defense, and that time the receiver gets right in between Will Lewis and number 18, Calvin Lovell. And, boy, Pat, you're so absolutely right. What a perfect, perfect throw. They call that pass pattern a fade. They say when you see that corner roll up, you just fade around the outside, and we're going to hit you quick with it.
This is Chris Kinner trying to get to the outside, but had trouble as the corner closed down on him. Calvin Lovell, number 18, was there to make the tackle as he gets inside the 50 to about the 48 for a pickup of 4. Matt Dunnigan has completed 20 of 34 for 330 yards. And he's rushed 8 times for 61, so he's very close to the 400-yard mark himself in generating total offense today. Second down, 6 yards to go, Eskimos. Skinner makes the catch, and he's finally brought down and forced out of bounds at the 33-yard line again by Calvin Lovell. But it's amazing how the Eskimos do respond in the 4th quarter.
Well, they really have, and a good read by Dunnigan that time. Ottawa deep in the zone. Alex Troop, the rookie linebacker, out there on that side, and he got the good deep drop, but that means you can dump the ball off, and Chris Skinner made an easy catch and picked up an easy first down.
There was an interesting survey in Edmonton this past week. They asked, it was totally, they just asked people in the street, who would you watch if it was on television, the Edmonton Eskimos or the Edmonton Oilers? And the majority of people said they'd watch the Eskimos.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. At this time of the year. Mind you, it's understandable because the Eskimos have had a great year and are now coming down to the playoffs in super position as Roy Swope made the tackle on Milson Jones. But I found it very interesting. So the Canadian Football League is well in Western Canada, and it will generate a lot of interest from now till the end of the season in Eastern Canada as well, as the battle for first place between Hamilton and Toronto continues tomorrow at Exhibition Stadium in Toronto when the Alouettes come to call. An Argo win, and they move back into first place, but they do not clinch it. Dunnigan still has the ball under pressure from the middle linebacker, but he keeps it and dives for the first down to the 21-yard line. Henry Taylor was in on Dunnigan, but he couldn't catch up to him. And Dunnigan, who just loves a situation like that where he can do it on his own, gets the first down.
What a great play he made. They were going for the big one to Marco Sincar, who was lined up as a tight end in that short yardage situation, but good coverage downfield dictated that Matt Dunnigan run with it, and wow, what a job he did.
So the Eskimos from the Ottawa 22 have a first down. And the pass was, well, it just couldn't be handled by Chris Skinner. Coming into the ball game for Ottawa is Greg Miller, another one of their young Canadian prospects. Miller from Concordia University. He comes in, and going out is number 27, Jerome Erdman. Second and 10. Let's watch Matt Dunnigan on this. A big play. His club out in front, 16-8. They could salt it away now. And look at this. Dunnigan will have the first down. Battles his way to the goal line, then drops the football, and Ottawa recovers at the 1. Dunnigan was so intent on getting to the end zone.
Greg Miller, number 10, you see him on your screen right there. Boy, just as Dunnigan was going to chalk up the 6 points, the ball popped loose, and linebacker Greg Miller will make the recovery. I don't know.
He just came onto the field the play prior to this.
Yeah. Watch this. The big hit. The ball's up in the air, and Greg. Boy, oh boy. I mean, the guy in the scoreboard was already putting the 6 up.
But, you know, it's so like Matt Dunnigan. I mean, he could have run the ball out of bounds, would have had the first down, but he said, no, I'm going to stick it in the end zone. I've got a chance. But on a day like this, anything can and often does happen.
Well, Greg Miller in his first year from Concordia.
The handoff goes inside as Gilbert Renfro comes in to quarterback the Rough Riders. Stop is made by that entire front 4 of the Eskimos. Renfro really does have a gun for an arm, and Tommy Dimitrov, realizing that they're down by 8 points with 3:10 left to play in the ball game, he'd like to put this one up and see if they can't chew up some yardage. They're really in a bind at their 5-yard line, and if they don't get the first down here, you cannot like their chances of getting much closer. Lovely day in Ottawa, though, isn't it?
You're a duck.
Renfro's pass is caught by Glenn Steele for a very important first down for the Rough Riders. Phil Jones makes the tackle, but that brings us to 2:46 left to play in the ball game.
Well, Gilbert Renfro, who is the purest thrower of the 3 Ottawa quarterbacks, steps up and throws a beautiful strike, and Glenn Steele makes his second catch of the game.
16-8. Edmonton leads it. We'll be back for the final 2:46 in just a moment.
Zenith's clean, cube-shaped styling gives you so much screen from side to side and corner to corner, it makes watching television a whole new ball game. Zenith. Quality.
Get moving to Extra Old Stock and get that real beer taste.
Following today's telecast, the Carling O'Keefe Sports defensive game star will receive a Royal Canadian Mint 1-ounce solid gold coin, presented by Tilley, Canadian manufacturers of fine leather goods. At Tilley, they bring together quality and creativity in all their products for all your needs, from their line of personal leather goods through to their travel wear.
Well, tomorrow we'll be at Exhibition Stadium in Toronto to watch the Montreal Alouettes do battle with the Argos in a very important game for the Argos. Right now, the Ottawa Rough Riders are still in this one. They have the ball at their own 20-yard line with a first down. Renfro looks, fires deep for Mark Lewis, and the ball goes incomplete. Good coverage for the Edmonton Eskimos by Greg Harding.
Yeah, I don't know why they insist on trying to beat him deep. They've done that, tried to do it about 3 times today, and every time he's been in better position to make the catch than the receiver.
And with all kinds of time left, 2:31 left to play, they've got more than enough time to march the ball down the field with 10 and 12-yard pickups.
Well, this is the kind of position where the good teams say, well, listen, we got this amount of time left. Let's just grind it out down the field with a short ball control passing game, and we'll get down there and score. Not that you don't need the deep one right away.
Renfro's pass is caught, and a good one by Clorindo Grilly, who has the first down over the 30 to the 32. Ron Howard made the stop, but not before Grilly picked up 13 yards.
Well, he's made some big catches this afternoon, and none bigger than this one, because second and long, 2nd and 10, as a matter of fact. He comes over the middle, makes a good catch, picks up the first down, and once again, another good throw by Gilbert Renfro.
When we have seen Clorindo Grilli in this Ottawa offense, he's been impressive. He's a graduate of McMaster University, playing his first year in the CFL, and gets a nice round of applause from those that are still here. And amazingly, these Ottawa fans have hung in well. It's been a miserable, miserable second half from a weather point of view, and they're still here. Well, Renfro looked, couldn't find anybody open, and then Mandrich hits him, and the ball is knocked out of bounds by an Edmonton Eskimo, but Ottawa will retain possession.
They're ruling that number 29, Jeff George, the defensive back, was the last one to touch it. He actually batted the football out of bounds, and they're going to give possession to the Edmonton Eskimos. Watch as Gilbert Renfro rolls out of the pocket. He's going to cut up. The ball is stripped loose by number 75, John Mandrich. You're going to see 29, Jeff George here. He just bats it out of bounds, and they get possession. That's all you have to do in the Canadian Football League.
And the ball right now is at the 44-yard line with 1:56 left. They allowed Will Lewis to come in and then just dumped it off to Milson Jones, but he's dropped by Henry Taylor, the middle linebacker, and Roy Swope, number 59, the outside linebacker, after a pickup of maybe a couple of yards.
That's a good call by Matt Dunnigan. He would expect at this stage now that Ottawa would have to gamble somewhat on defense and maybe send some people blitzing, and that's a great play then, just to dump it off to your running back, get him one-on-one. Roy Swope made a good tackle, but they still got it off and avoid the blitz. That's the key thing.
2nd and 8, Eskimos. The Ottawa line moved. Now, was Ottawa drawn off, or did they just jump offside themselves?
Well, Greg Marshall was pointing to Rudy Phillips.
The call, it's a procedure penalty against Edmonton. Rod Conop, number 67, the left guard.
Edmonton, number 67. 2nd down repeated.
And since this is the last time we'll be with brother Bill Marsden, our spotter here in Ottawa and Montreal, want to thank him for his great contribution in 1986. As Matt Dunnigan looks deep, looking for Stephen Jones. He made a great play to adjust to the football, but then when it got to him, he dropped it.
Yeah, it would have been a great catch, but you know, all the good receivers are able to do that. Guys like James Murphy, Emmanuel Tolbert, Ray Alexander, James Hood, they all have that ability to, once they see the ball's a little underthrown, to cut back underneath the defensive back. This time it's Will Lewis, and boy, Stephon Jones made the great adjustment. He just couldn't hang on.
So Dixon is in to punt, because this will be, if he can get a single out of this, it puts the game out of reach with 1:25 showing on the clock.
Of course, Jerome Erdman's just received instructions from the bench, and you could see by his hand actions he has to get it out.
Well, it's not going to, you don't have to worry about that, because the ball bounces at the 18 down to Jerome Erdman, who takes it at the 5. And he turns it upfield. He's still on the playing surface, but he stepped out at the 18-yard line with 1:11 left to play in the ball game. So Ottawa clings to life here, trailing by 8 points.
Well, Jerome Erdman's had a pretty big day. 2 fumble recoveries, played some defense, and did a nice job returning that punt of Tom Dixon.
Well, having spoken to the Ottawa coaching staff and their general manager, they like what Erdman can do for them. He can play offense, he can play defense. He's a guy they certainly look forward to bringing back next year. Mark Lewis makes the catch and has the first down and gets out of bounds at the 31-yard line. A pickup of 13. Well, that's what they've got to do. Just be patient, got lots of time, stop the clock when you get the opportunity, and see what happens.
Well, in that zone defense with the inside safety tries to slide out and get underneath that out pattern, but that time Jeff George was concerned with bumping Glenn Steele, so he couldn't get out in time, and Mark Lewis makes an easy catch. And boy, if they can keep hitting some pass plays like that, they can just go right down the field. But stay with those medium range ones. Don't try and get it all at once.
Renfro in trouble, throws the screen to Robert Reed, and he's got good speed. He made an outstanding move, about 2 or 3 of them, to get to the 20-yard line. Phil Jones finally brings him down, but what a wonderful run by Robert Reed of 59 yards.
Wow, this is just a great individual effort. He got a couple of good blocks at the point of attack. Brad Fawcett was out there, but now it's all on his own. Great speed. I didn't think Robert Reed had that kind of speed, but obviously he does. Watch the move here on Greg Harding. Cuts back, and well, that's just a great individual effort.
So Ottawa may well be coming down to what they did against Winnipeg. And again, they throw the screen. This one is to Jim Reed, and he does get it out of bounds at about the 16-yard line. He doesn't get out?
I don't believe so. The official's marking his foot that he still stayed in bounds, so Ottawa will have to hurry and get up over the football. They've got 33 seconds left. I don't believe that.
Now time is whistled in. You're right. It's now 31 seconds left. And Ottawa now takes a timeout.
I think this is a good move right here. 32 seconds left. You've got a critical 2nd and 5 situation. They want to pick up that first down and get sorted out now on the sidelines just as to what their attack's going to be. So smart move to take the timeout right here rather than save it.
Gilbert Renfro has completed 5 of 6 for 103 yards. But isn't it amazing? Football is such a strange game. You would anticipate that teams like Winnipeg and Edmonton would run roughshod over Ottawa. Winnipeg comes in here 3 weeks ago and are life and death to beat the Rough Riders. Edmonton, with everything at stake for them to clinch first place, are life and death to win this one, and may not.
Well, Jackie Parker, of course, feeling the pressure of this. He wants to wrap it up today, get it over, clinch that first place. Isn't it funny, in the cab, or in Brother Bill Marston's car on the way over to the stadium today, I suggested that we haven't done an overtime game yet this year, but with a touchdown and a 2-point convert, we may very well see it.
31 seconds left to play in the ball game. Edmonton 16, Ottawa 8. 2nd down, 6 yards to go. Ottawa, the ball at the Edmonton 16-yard line. To the end zone for Mark Lewis. Touchdown, Ottawa. And so the Rough Riders do it again.
Well, their work's not finished for them. That's only the first part that they have to take care of, and it's a great touchdown catch by Mark Lewis, his 4th of 1986. Good concentration, and boy, he dropped a couple earlier, but that time, no mistaking, he hung on, and this is a great throw by quarterback Gilbert Renfro. You've got to put a lot of air time on this ball so the receiver can get deep downfield, and that's a perfect throw. But here we go with the 2-pointer.
2 points is good to Glenn Steele. And we are all tied up with 26 seconds left. And again, credit the Ottawa quarterback, Gilbert Renfro, with great presence of mind. He had a stiff arm that knocked off the intended tackler. And then, still looking downfield, he spots Glenn Steele. And what a terrific performance by Gilbert Renfro as he comes on here late in the 4th quarter to complete 7 of 8 for 123 yards. And let's not forget that this was a 92-yard drive.
Well, he fights off number 43, Craig Schaefer, and Glenn Steele, from almost the moment the ball was snapped and Renfro was rolling out, was waving his arms. He was wide open in the end zone. None of the Eskimo defenders were able to locate or see Glenn Steele, and give Gilbert Renfro credit. He makes a perfect strike. And, well, could be overtime.
I should have known when the spy mentioned it could happen.
Well, not to be prophetic, but gosh.
And, I mean, there isn't enough you can say about the preparation that the Ottawa coaching staff, led by Tom Dimitrov, has done in getting this club ready and getting them pumped up sufficiently to come in and provide this kind of an effort.
And, of course, if we do end up in overtime, for all you folks at home, we haven't seen it a great deal this year, we will play 2 5-minute halves. Not sudden death, 2 5-minute halves.
Dean Dorsey will kick it off for Ottawa. And the Eskimos' Tom Richards gets to about the 35-yard line before he's brought down by Greg Miller. And Greg Miller had a very prominent role in this because it was he who recovered Matt Dunnigan's fumble down around the goal area. And that was a touchdown that would have salted it away for the Eskimos.
Well, let's just set the stage for you now. There's 23 seconds left, and with Matt Dunnigan a quarterback, you know, they're at their 35-yard line. I think they've got a shot to get Dixon in range.
Oh, no question about it. They only need a single point. And Dunnigan scampers out of bounds at about the 37-yard line, and he paid for that one. Jerome Erdman cut him down just as he was stepping out. Look at Matt. Just another day at the office.
Well, he's a gamer. I think that play might have done it for them, though. If he'd have been able to hit somebody downfield in a 15-yard range or so, they might have had a shot, but I think it would be very difficult with only 16 seconds now.
Well, for sure, they've got 2 plays, don't you think?
Oh, yeah, I think they got 2 plays.
And that one is broken up by Calvin Lovell and very nearly intercepted with 8 seconds left on the clock. Now, there were 14,058 announced as the paid attendance here at Lansdowne Park. I'm sure 4,000 of them have gone home, so we're talking 10,000 people, and it sounds like we're in with about 80,000 in the Houston Astrodome.
Well, they're excited here. The Ottawa Rough Riders, of course, have battled back to tie it up. Matt Dunnigan, he's had a great day, and boy, you're so right. You know, if there was a turning point in this game, it sure came late when apparently Matt Dunnigan was going to have a touchdown. The ball came loose, and Greg Miller made the fumble recovery.
So on 3rd down, the Eskimos have to punt it. We are heading for overtime, barring something really wild here. Ball is fielded by Jerome Erdman, who steps out at the 33-yard line, and that will do it. The gun sounds to end regulation time. Oh, boy, who could have prophesied this one? Edmonton 16, Ottawa 16. The CFL on CTV will continue in a moment with overtime.
The enemy? Snow. You never know when your car might lose its grip. Hence the design logic for Vector, Goodyear's exceptional handling all-season radial. Its aggressive crisscross tread actually cleans itself for superb control on snow and ice. You either have Goodyear Vectors or you need them.
Is that a rocket in your pocket or a Yankee bar? A dime and a quarter, they really go far. You get lots of cream and milk chocolate, chew with caramel too. A bigger than bite size, just the right size, just a perfect Yankee bar. Anytime that you're ready for the rocket power taste of a Yankee bar, that's the rocket in your pocket, that's a Yankee bar.
There's only one Formula One Grand Prix race run in this country. This year, the car that won it was powered by Renault. I mention this because we've just brought some of that competitive thinking to the street. GTA, I consider it another Renault victory.
Gilbert Renfro was the man who engineered this tie. He threw the touchdown strike, and then watch this two-point conversion.
Well, he really made a great play to get outside a stiff arm on Craig Schaefer, who defensively has played well today, and then what a anxiety build up for Glenn Steele in the end zone because he was open for such a long period of time. Sometimes you tend to tense up a little bit when that ball is finally coming into you, but he made no mistake, and he's really been a bright offensive performer here for the Ottawa Rough Riders this afternoon.
Now, let's explain this overtime to you. It is 2 5-minute halves. There will be 2 kickoffs, one right now to start the overtime. At the end of 5 minutes, regardless of where the ball is, then we have another kickoff.
And of course, might add too that stop time occurs in the last minute of each 5-minute half.
Had this been a year ago, this tie would have clinched first place for the Eskimos.
Yeah, that's true.
They do not have it right now.
Well, I'm a big booster of overtime. I think it's exciting. You know, it's like kissing your sister playing all this time for a tie.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, you'll probably not be surprised to know the Ottawa bench is a very different place to be right now. But what happened that was really interesting late in the fourth quarter, after Robert Reed's big run to put the club within scoring range, the club acted as if nothing had happened, almost as if they were afraid to hope. They were looking away from the field. Conversations continued. It wasn't until they got the ball in the end zone that this bench exploded.
Well, they're going to receive the opening half kickoff for this overtime session. Here's the way the score went. It was scoreless after one quarter, 6-4 Edmonton at halftime, 16-4 Eskimos in the third, at the end of 3 quarters of play, and in their most productive quarter of the year, the fourth quarter, the Eskimos did not score. It sure looked like they were going to, but Matt Dunnigan was hit as he was trying to get into the end zone, fumbled the ball, and the result was the 16-16 tie as Ottawa marched all the way down the field.
Well, I'm sure the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are sitting back watching this game very closely and breathed a sigh of relief when Glenn Steele hauled in that 2-point conversion. They, of course, trailed the Eskimos by 2 points in the standings.
Great kickoff. It was taken by Brad Califf at the 10-yard line. And Califf, running like he's possessed, gets over the 40 to the 42-yard line, finally brought down there by Phil Jones. But Ottawa will start in pretty good field position at their 42.
Well, this does not look like a team that only won 3 games all season. They're making the big plays when it counts, and that's, of course, what they hadn't done earlier in 1986.
So Gilbert Renfro, who really has been the mastermind of this wonderful comeback for Ottawa, is at quarterback. The give is to Robert Reed, who made that great run to set up the touchdown, gets to midfield, and has a first down for the Rough Riders, a gain of 13 before James Zachary made the tackle.
Well, it's a key block by number 32, Jim Reed, his running mate on Stuart Hill, that allows Robert Reed to get to the outside. Brad Fawcett, he's around the corner as well, and you talk about a key performer in the fourth quarter. It was Robert Reed's big 59-yard run on the screen pass that set all this up.
First down, Ottawa from midfield. Renfro going deep, looking for Caleb, but it goes incomplete. Cliff Toney providing the defensive coverage on the Ottawa receiver.
Really, the Eskimo secondary has played well all afternoon, especially on the deep passes. Really an excellent position. Cliff Toney was. Greg Harding on a number of pass plays earlier today. The only one they snuck in was that touchdown by Mark Lewis.
Gilbert Renfro came on, as I recall, with about 3.5 minutes left to play in this ball game. He has completed 7 of 9 for 123 yards, and he was the one that brought them back to this position of a tie in overtime. Renfro's pass was very nearly intercepted. Jeffrey George got his hands on the ball, but he couldn't squeeze it.
Yeah, Gil Renfro initially had Mark Lewis open. He waited and waited, and he waited too long, and then there was no way he could get into him. And Jeff George, I don't even think he saw the ball coming.
Stephan Jones and Tom Richards are back to receive this punt. And they'll play it straight, I suspect, this time, don't you?
Well, I would think so. Well, don't hold your breath.
Clark, an end-over-end ball that Richards will field at his 22. And he gets out over the 31 to about the 32-yard line, so that's where the Edmonton offense will take over. Matt Dunnigan has gone all the way at quarterback for Edmonton this afternoon and had a super ball game.
Just trying to think this year, I can only think of one other overtime game, and of course that was Hamilton at Saskatchewan, which ended up in a tie. Were there any others?
Not that I can recall. Listen to this crowd. This is Nelson Jones on the draw, gets to the 35, so he'll have a pickup of about 3. Michel Bourgeot, number 83, is there to make the tackle for Ottawa.
Michel Bourgeot did not start this game on the defensive line, but he's been inserted and has made some big plays this afternoon.
2:43, and the clock is running. Left to play in this first overtime period. Big play here for the Eskimos. 2nd and 7 from their 35-yard line.
Well, the crowd at Lansdowne chanting defense, defense, and they have played well this afternoon.
And Dunnigan is sacked back at the 30-yard line by Tony Fitzpatrick. That rookie from the University of Miami Hurricanes, playing his 2nd game for the Rough Riders.
Well, it's an extremely inspired football team right now. Lloyd Lewis with the pressure up the middle, and then 61 Tony Fitzpatrick comes up with the sack. So in this first overtime period, the Ottawa Rough Riders have done their job on defense.
And now Tom Dixon stands inside his 20-yard line to punt. Lewis and Caleb. Or is that Clarindo Grilly back there? It is Grilly. Lewis from his 40-yard line. A wonderful play by Craig Schaefer, who showed you the kind of speed he has to chase down a very speedy Mark Lewis. A 39-yard punt and only a 1-yard return. And Skate Canada will be joined in progress this afternoon from Regina. Johnny Esau and the gang out there waiting to bring it to you as we determine whether or not the Edmonton Eskimos are going to clinch first place. Right now, the Ottawa Rough Riders have first down at their own 41-yard line with 1:47 left in the first overtime period, and we're tied at 16. Renfro is dragged down from behind at the 44-yard line by Bruce Green. Everybody was covered. He looked downfield constantly, and there was just nobody open.
Oh, you know what he did? He did the wise thing. Bruce Green hauls him down from behind. He nevertheless picks up 3 yards, but what he did, he didn't try and force the ball in. And, of course, now in overtime, we're talking very critical here. You don't want to give up a turnover, and Gil Renfro did the smart thing.
And I believe that is Bruce Green down. It is. So the clock stops with 1:14. And as I say, when we get to 0, then they'll stop play, and we'll have another kickoff. And this time, the Eskimos will receive it. So Ottawa would like to pick up a couple of first downs and at least give Dean Dorsey an opportunity of kicking what could be a tie-breaking field goal or a single point, but it will not end the game.
You know, of course, at the beginning of the game, we mentioned how strongly the wind was blowing. Now, after the rains have come through Lansdowne Park, the flags are very limp here. So, in what could be a critical area of trying to kick a winning field goal, now the wind really, I don't think, will be a factor.
Bruce Green, the 6'2", 230-pound linebacker from Texas Southern, running off under his own steam.
And we talked about Craig Schaefer's speed. Bruce Green has shown us this afternoon that he certainly has the physical range to be a linebacker in the CFL.
So with the ball at their own 44, it's 2nd and 7 Ottawa. And on the draw, they give it to Jim Reed, but it was well read by Danny Bass.
Oh, did he make a fabulous play. You know, if he doesn't make the tackle, Jim Reed's got a first down easy. But Danny Bass, the 7-year veteran, the leading tackler on the Edmonton Eskimos, wouldn't let him out of his grasp.
Listen to this for an offensive ball game. Edmonton, 457 yards. Ottawa, 437. This has got to help Tom Dimitrov in his hoped-for opportunity of being the head coach next year.
Well, of course, and we're happy for Tom. He's a very personable guy. Had great success at the University of Guelph. Now getting his second chance to be a head coach in the Canadian Football League.
Didn't have much of a chance.
No, Harold axed him pretty quick.
Stephen Jones from his 28. And he's dropped as he gets to the 35-yard line with 30 seconds left to play in this first overtime session. And the game is still tied. Tomorrow afternoon, we'll be at Exhibition Stadium in Toronto to bring you the visit of the Montreal Alouettes to the Argos, as the Argos, currently in second spot, try to move into sole possession of first place. And they would do that with a victory. And Dunnigan is chased out of bounds at about the 42 by Jerome Erdman. So he will not have the first down, but he stops the clock with 24 seconds left and picks up 7 yards. Dunnigan has carried the ball 12 times today for 94 yards. He's thrown it for 347. Not a bad day, 450 yards himself.
Well, he's had a great day. Of course, would have had a better day if he'd been able to hang on to that ball and go into the end zone. We wouldn't be doing this right now.
He's trying to set up the screen and does to Milson Jones. And Jones gets over the 50 to the 51 with 17 seconds left as Michel Bourgeot again makes the tackle. Dunnigan was looking for Jones to set up the screen, but he was looking to him the outside, and Jones ended up on the inside.
He does a great job to get the ball off to Milson Jones. They kind of improvise there, and Milson Jones picks up the first down. Matt Dunnigan objected to a bit of a late hit by number 79 Lloyd Lewis as he had released the football.
And James Zachary stepped onto the field to say something to Lewis too.
And well, he should. You got to protect your main man out there, and of course the main man is Matt Dunnigan.
So the ball is at the Eskimo 51 with 17 seconds left to play in this first overtime period, tied at 16. And now we're over 900 yards in total offense by these clubs. Dunnigan throws, the catch is made. And stepping out of bounds immediately is Stephen Jones at the Ottawa 46-yard line with 11 seconds left.
Well, of course, offensively, the Edmonton Eskimos have to treat this as the end of the first half of the overtime period, so they will be trying to work probably one more play to get Tom Dixon in range for a field goal attempt. They've got 11 seconds, so certainly time for 2 plays.
Dunnigan throws. The pass is caught by Chris Skinner, but he only gets to the 42-yard line with 6 seconds showing on the clock. Roy Swope, the linebacker number 59, making his first start for Ottawa, was there to make the tackle.
Well, this will be a 50-yard field goal attempt by Tom Dixon, and you see Tom Dimitrov on the sideline. He's telling his returner, if it's wide and deep enough, you bring it out. And that's number 27, Jerome Erdman, who's going back.
Because barring a penalty, this will be the final play of this first overtime session.
So what they're going to do is sacrifice a bit of the rush against this field goal attempt, bringing Lloyd Lewis out, put a couple of guys back in the end zone, Mike McIntyre and Jerome Erdman, to improve the chances of bringing out if the field goal attempt is not good.
So this will be a 49 or 50-yard attempt. The ball is spotted at the 43, so let's make it a 50-yard try by Tom Dixon. And you see he's been his usual self today, 3 out of 4.
Now this really tests a kicker's physical abilities here. A 50-yard shot is definitely a long one. If there is any breeze left today, it will favor Tom Dixon. It's raining. Of course, that makes the ball a little heavier. The air's thick. The ball won't travel as far, so it's going to be a great effort.
Well, if he gets it, it would be his longest of the year. Ottawa has called their timeout, so they want Dixon to think about this one a little longer. His longest attempt this year that was successful was 49 yards. They put Ken Clark back in the end zone. Well, now he's going to run off the field, so I guess they're just saying, look, if it's in there, let's get it out, however you have to do so. Clark is leaving the field.
Well, if you're Don Holtby, general manager of the Ottawa Rough Riders, I think you have to be encouraged this afternoon. You've seen his team battle back, and of course you're looking and assessing some talent that's on the field for 1987, and he must be impressed with some of the people he's seen. Will Lewis in the defensive secondary has played well. Well, if Edmonton goes on and wins this game, they will clinch first place in the Western Division. Winnipeg,
or if they tie it.
Or if they tie it. Winnipeg and BC battle it out tomorrow. Calgary, they're assured of a playoff spot. Rick Johnson, Ray Alexander, Emmanuel Tolbert, what an exciting team they've put together this year.
From 50 yards out, Dixon is no good. And the Riders are going to get it out of the end zone. Mike McIntyre. And he steps out of bounds to end the first overtime period, and we remain tied at 16 points apiece. Edmonton 16, Ottawa 16. The CFL on CTV will continue in a moment.
G'day. Glad to see the pioneer spirits alive and well in Canada, just like Oz. Cooking over open fires, roughing it under canvas, and you got the old fossils to make it bearable. And you lucky beggars. They're selling the liquid gold for the same price as your regular brew. Just as well, too. Looks like some of you still have to go out and trap your own coats. Good on you, love.
Foster's, Australian for beer. Now brewed here.
Hey, 3035, where's that rush package? And where are you?
When a package has to get across town in a hurry, you've got a choice. You can call a cab, or you can call Gelco Express, the only couriers who deliver across country overnight and across town too, probably for less than it costs you now. Cross country and now across town.
You gotta hand it to Gelco. Gelco Express.
Well, that's the story as we prepare for period 2 of overtime. Now, if this tie is not broken, then of course it will stand as a 16-16 ball game. And Cal Murphy must be sitting out west saying, why are these clowns saying that if they tie, they clinch? Because the Eskimos have to have the victory. With a victory, they clinch. A tie, they don't. So it tells you the importance of this ball game from the Eskimos' point of view.
What do you think of the playoff format yourself?
I love it.
Yeah, me too. You know, it's you got 4 solid teams out west that are going to battle it out for the title, and 2 teams in the east that, you know, Hamilton and Toronto deserve to be in the playoffs. Ottawa and Montreal quite simply don't. So I think it's really worked out well.
So Dean Dorsey takes his time and tees it up at the 35. Tom Richards and Stephen Jones are back inside their 15. Dorsey angles it towards Tom Richards, and the ball goes out of bounds. Time, of course, does not start until the Eskimos touch the football. They did not, so we still have 5 minutes left to play in this ball game. Been an entertaining game because it was always close enough that, you know, one team or the other didn't break it wide open.
Of course, it's been a low-scoring game by CFL standards, but really an entertaining game. You know, the teams moved the ball well enough. There was just a couple of big defensive plays on either side that kept the score down.
And, of course, that's the kind of game that Ottawa hoped it would be, because they weren't going to be able to get into a touchdown scoring spree with the Eskimos. You would hardly know that one team is sitting on top of the Western Conference and the other one has lost 13 of their last 14 games. Jones at his 19. Oh, and a great return by Stephen Jones as he gets into Ottawa territory at the 50-yard line. Lorindo Grilly forced him out at that point. A 41-yard return by Stephen Jones.
Well, we saw him earlier on a kickoff return, take it up the other side of the field, find a seam, but the rest of his teammates do an excellent job blocking. They double team the outside guy. Now they've got the natural seam for him to run through, and with his speed, there's no problem.
Matt Dunnigan, 25 of 42 this afternoon for 382 yards and 1 touchdown. And Dunnigan runs it in very close to the Ottawa 41-yard line. He'll be within a yard of a first down for the Eskimos. And with that run, he goes over the 100-yard mark for the afternoon. On 13 carries, Matt Dunnigan has run the ball 103 yards.
Well, coming into this game, he had 480 yards, and 1 year, was he not over 1,000? Did he get over 1,000 yards in rushing? No.
What is this, Trivial Pursuit?
No,
I don't know. Dunnigan keeps it himself. A penalty marker is down. Dunnigan would have the first down, but we'll wait and see what the penalty call is. Rough Riders must have jumped offside.
Offside, Ottawa number 42. First down.
Henry Taylor jumped outside.
Your man, Henry Taylor. Well, what Matt would like to do right here is just take a nice steady drive right downfield, chew up the clock, and certainly get a field goal. He'd like to get the big one.
Ball is at the 36-yard line of the Rough Riders. Dunnigan looking for Rick House. Did that hit him on the helmet?
I think it hit him in the hands, actually. He ran a good pass pattern against Will Lewis. Tried to make the diving catch, and of course, when he hit the ground and made the catch, tried to make the catch at the same time, he couldn't do it.
I've been impressed with Will Lewis, haven't you?
Yeah, I really have. He's a newcomer in that secondary, and they're looking for guys that can help them in 87. I think he might be one of them. It's been a tough part of their ball club. They've given up more yardage through the air than any other team in the CFL this year. So they've got to be looking for new DBs.
2nd and 10, Edmonton at the Ottawa 36. They look inside to Rick House this time. He gets inside the 30 to about the 28-yard line. He'll be short of the first down. Tackle was made by the man we were referring to, Will Lewis, number 21. And that comes with 3:19 left to play in the second overtime period. House has caught 6 this afternoon for 103 yards.
Well, there's Will Lewis. Originally in Seattle Seahawks of the NFL, spent some time in the USFL. In fact, played 1 game for the Montreal Alouettes this year before coming over to Ottawa. Caused a couple of fumbles this afternoon. Had himself a pretty good day.
So Matt Dunnigan will be the holder on a 35-yard field goal try by Tom Dixon. And it's wide. And the Rough Riders get it out. But that might be costly because there's 2:48 left.
That's really a tough decision for a head coach to make. You know, what do? You've still got certainly enough time to go down the field and get some points, or you give it up and try and get it later, or do you try and get it out and hope your offense can move the football? Obviously, that was the choice of Tom Dimitroff, and you really can't argue with that.
Well, you can't argue with anything Tom Dimitroff has done this afternoon, but Ottawa starts from their 2-yard line. The give is to the fullback, Jim Reed, and he explodes out of there over the 10, and he'll be very close to the first down.
Well, he's had himself an outstanding afternoon. He's really run with the authority that we know that he can. 6'3", 230. He's got the great size, primarily a blocking back throughout his career, but this afternoon getting a chance really to star in that Ottawa offense.
Carried the ball 11 times for 75 yards.
Oh, that could be his career day right there.
I'm sure it is. So it is a first down for the Rough Riders as they got it out to the 12. Renfro got all caught up in the traffic. And now he finds Florindo Grilly, and Grilly gets out over the 25 for another first down. I mean, that was just an unbelievable effort by Ottawa quarterback Gilbert Renfro. First of all, to get out of the traffic jam, and then to be able to find Grilly. Well, Tony finally makes the tackle.
Well, sometimes it's not always the way you draw it up on the blackboard that's successful, and a little bit of impromptu work. That's back-to-back first downs for the Ottawa Rough Riders, and they've moved it deep out of their own territory, so now that decision to bring it out of the end zone looks good.
13 yards to pick up, first down Ottawa. The pass by Renfro to Glenn Steele. And Steele is dragged down from behind as he gets to midfield.
Wow, what a play that was. They came with the safety blitz. Cliff Tony was coming. That left Glenn Steele one-on-one with Jeff George. He beats him to the inside, and, you know, give Gil Renfro credit. He read the blitz. He picked out the right guy. You got to go over the middle in that situation. He hit him, and what a big play that was. 53 seconds.
Yep, and it's still tied, but Ottawa's on the move with a first down. The ball is batted up in the air, and it is intercepted by the Edmonton Eskimos. Number 38, Bruce Green, gives the Eskimos possession at their 35-yard line.
Well, we're talking heartbreaker here because Ottawa did such a great job to get it out to midfield, and then a tip ball results in the interception by Bruce Green and give him full marks. He made the catch while lying on his back, but Gil Renfro steps up in the pocket.
Danny Bass.
Yeah, the tip ball, and Danny Bass makes the outstanding defensive play to tip it up in the air.
41 seconds left to play in the second overtime period. The Eskimos have the ball at their 35.
You know, that's just great range for a middle linebacker with Danny Bass to get back in his pass drop and then slide over and make that tip.
Well, it's got to be a procedure penalty because Matt Dunnigan moved away from the center, but the ball didn't come out. Little mix-up between Blake Dermott and the quarterback. So they'll march off 5 yards and move the ball back to the Edmonton 30. 29 seconds left to play in the second overtime period.
Legal procedure, Edmonton number 16, first down repeating.
Well, I'd have my backup shoes on, I'll tell you that, if I was Darryl Hall. And I'd do so likewise if I was Calvin Lovall, the two corners, because we've got to know the Eskimos are looking to win this football game.
Jackie Parker and the entire coaching staff down the sidelines were really screaming and pointing towards the clock. I see one of the timing officials has gone out to referee Bobby Breen, or Brian rather, and trying to sort this out. I don't know if there was any time that was erased off the clock.
And Dunnigan does air it out. Looking for Stephen Jones, and Calvin Lovall went high in the air. But he couldn't come down with the football with 22 seconds left.
Well, shades of that Hail Mary they threw up in their opening game of the season against the Calgary Stampeders when Stephen Jones was able to breeze by everybody and score the winning touchdown. Calvin Lovell, of course, though, respecting that great speed back there to make the play defensively.
Well, Ottawa may not win this football game, but boy, they've got to consider it some kind of a victory. Because this is their glory moment of 86. Dunnigan drills it down there to Tom Richards, but he couldn't hang on at the Edmonton 45. And that'll bring up a third down with 16 seconds left, and the clock stopped because of the incompletion.
Well, now you bring everybody but
yeah.
the kitchen sink and
Yep.
try and block this one. Well, they're going to put 2 guys back there. I'm kind of surprised.
See if they'll try any trickery on the punt return. They're a day late for that. I know Halloween was
Yeah, right.
yesterday, but
You know, they're standing at their own 40-yard line, and to get any kind of return, you know, Ken Clark can still punt a single. It's been a great game, though. Great finish.
oh yeah, it has been.
Oh,
Ooh, good punt.
takes care of that.
Mark Lewis is back to his 33. 10 seconds on the clock. And Lewis gets to the 48-yard line with 5 seconds left to play. Well, pull out all the tricks now. Onside, and triple laterals.
Well, I'd say you just line up 3 receivers to one side, throw the Hail Mary to 3 of them.
Well, it worked against Winnipeg.
Yeah.
We're over 1,100 yards in total offense this afternoon. Renfro throws it to Mark Lewis. He gets out of bounds with 2 seconds on the clock. At the Ottawa 53.
Dean Dorsey was coming on the field. I don't know what they're planning here.
Well, it'd be a nice one. It'd be a 64-yard field goal try.
Be the world record, maybe.
Tom Dempsey,
Yeah.
I think, had. What did he have?
I think it was 63. When he was with the Detroit Lions, I believe.
Well, now Ken Clark has come out onto the field. And Ottawa has called their timeout. They want to talk this thing over.
Well, I'd be shocked if they could get a single from here.
If you see Tom Burgess come on the field, you know they're not going for any punt. Trevor Kennard had a 55-yard field goal for the longest in the CFL this year. But we don't have to worry about the field goal because Ken Clark is on the field. The newcomer, Roy Swope, who probably doesn't understand one thing about Canadian football, was standing on the sidelines, and I thought Jim Reed was going to go over there and hammer him if he didn't come out and join them on the field.
Well, there's no question that Kenny Clark is going to try and kick a single. Edmonton has called a timeout. They wanted to see exactly what the Ottawa Rough Riders were going to do. It's almost like a basketball game where you go out and line up and then the coach calls another timeout to set the defense. They're going to bring a lot of offensive players in and stick them deep, fellas that can handle the football. And
let me give you some stats on this. Net offense, Edmonton, 512 yards. Net offense, Ottawa, 489. Edmonton had 4 turnovers. Ottawa had 5. Ottawa had 28 first downs. Edmonton had 24. And after you've said all that, the score is tied at 16 points apiece on what will be the final play of this game that has gone to overtime, and still nothing was resolved. Now, do you think he's just going to punt?
Well, I don't know.
We're going to find out, aren't we? Well, it won't get to the end zone. It gets to the 18-yard line. And Tom Richards goes down on one knee, and that's it. Boy, talk about your entertainment. The Ottawa Rough Riders battle back to tie it late in the fourth quarter in the final seconds. And that's the way it ends after 2 overtime periods. It is Ottawa 16, Edmonton 16.
And now the Carling O'Keefe Sports offensive and defensive game stars as selected by our broadcast crew. From the Edmonton Eskimos, quarterback Matt Dunnigan is the offensive star. Teammate, middle linebacker Danny Bass is the defensive star. Each of tonight's stars will receive a Royal Canadian Mint 1-ounce solid gold coin presented by Mita. Mita didn't get to be the fastest growing copier company by making cameras. Mita, just great copiers, nothing else. And by Tilly, bringing together quality and creativity in all their products, from their line of personal leather goods through to their travel wear. Here's how things look now for the Ottawa Rough Riders. 3-13-1 with the tie today, 7 points, and maybe they will catch Montreal. In the Western standings, the Eskimos are still number 1, but they have yet to clinch first place. The Bombers are within reach. The next home game for the Edmonton Eskimos next weekend, Sunday, November the 9th, when they play host to the Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Next game on CTV tomorrow, Montreal at Toronto. Up next on this network, stay tuned for State Canada 86. This program is copyright and is strictly intended for the private use of our audience. Any reproduction, retransmission, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of the CTV television network is strictly prohibited.
This is the CTV Television Network.
The following is an exclusive presentation of the Kelly Sports Network. Washington and Arizona State have run parallel courses in 1986. Both opened with impressive victories over Big Ten foes. The Huskies destroying Ohio State, the Sun Devils upsetting Michigan State. Both teams were 2-0 when they simultaneously stubbed their